be the secret to disarming Air Force's attack, which means stopping Weiss.
We have to just put some pressure up front as far as the passing game is concerned and get some pressure on him. That's something that a lot of people haven't done this year, is really put a lot of pressure on him and give him a lot of time to throw, and he's really hurt him that way.
Live from Houston, Texas, the 27th Annual Bluebonnet Bowl, Air Force versus Texas, next on the Lorimar Sports Network. Today's game is being brought to you by the U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. By Ford, to invite you to drive the new Ford Taurus. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by McDonnell Douglas, making breakthroughs in aerospace and information systems. Live from Rice Stadium in Houston, Texas, the Lorimar Sports Network presents the 27th Annual Bluebonnet Bowl Postseason Classic. Today, the Air Force Falcons take on the Texas Longhorns. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Houston, Texas and Rice Stadium for this Bluebonnet Bowl telecast. The Bluebonnet Bowl moving outside for the first time in many years after spending the last 19 in the Astrodome, and a beautiful afternoon in Houston with temperatures expected to reach 70 degrees. I'm Tom Hammond. I'll call the play-by-play this afternoon, and with me for the color commentary is Giff Nielsen, former All-American quarterback at Brigham Young, former Houston Oilers quarterback in the NFL. And Giff, as we look at this Bluebonnet Bowl matchup, the University of Texas picked to finish 5th or 6th in the Southwest Conference. They come in with a record of 8-3, and yet a lot of Texas fans would like to get rid of Fred Akers, one of the most successful coaches in the business.
Tom, that's really interesting. Fred Akers has been at the University of Texas for 9 years now. His winning percentage is over 76%. It's the second as far as Southwest Conference coaches are concerned. It ranks second to only Darrell Royal at 77%, and yet there are a lot of people around the Texas circles that want to get rid of Fred Akers. I can't understand it.
Well, the Longhorns under Akers have had trouble in bowl games. They're only 2-6 in postseason contests. Meanwhile, in Colorado Springs at the Air Force Academy, it's been a record-breaking season. The Falcons 11-1, the most wins ever for an Air Force team. And as you look at their record, they're really only a touchdown away from perhaps playing for the national championship.
Well, they had a very crucial game at the latter part of the season against Brigham Young University. They lost that game. If they would not have lost that game, they may be playing in a New Year's Day Bowl for the national championship. It was that close.
There's one common thread in today's game: the wishbone offense, invented at Texas and perfected at the Air Force.
Well, Coach DeBerry at the Air Force Academy has really done a nice job with the wishbone. Of course, 17 years ago, it was Emery Ballard and Darrell Royal at the University of Texas that came out with the wishbone. So it's just interesting to see the contrast of the game styles today. It's really going to be a great ball game.
Well, with us at the Bluebonnet Bowl this afternoon is Gary Gallup, who will be patrolling the sidelines for reports throughout the game. Let's go down for some pregame observations now. Gary.
Thank you, Tom. I'll tell you what, there is electricity in the air here on the floor of the Bluebonnet Bowl in Houston. A crowd of an excess of 50,000 is going to be on hand. It is very windy down here. That could have an effect on the kicking game, which should be an important part of this football game this afternoon. The winds are gusting out on the northwest, probably 20 to 25 miles an hour, but you couldn't ask for a better day and a more enthusiastic crowd and two more enthusiastic football teams. Back to you, Tom.
All right, Gary, this is the official kickoff of the state of Texas sesquicentennial celebration. And throughout today's telecast, we'll visit with a contemporary expert on Texas history and sports in America, best-selling author and current resident of the Lone Star State, James A. Michener. Here's one of his perspectives now. Then, after some additional important messages, we'll return with a look at key players in today's game. You're watching the Bluebonnet Bowl pregame show live on the Lorimar Sports Network.
One of the good things about a bowl game is that it gives the young fellas who've been playing so vigorously for 6 or 7 months to get ready for it, a festival of occasion at the end of the year. It's something worth fighting for, it's something worth having, and it's certainly something worth enjoying.
For us, now there is a personal car that has exactly what we're looking for. Taurus, now there's an American car with the shape and the feel we've never seen before.
For us who demand excellence in design and function. For all of us who will not compromise, Ford listened. Ford created Taurus for us.
For us, now there's an American car that has exactly what we've been looking for. Taurus, now there's an American car with the shape and the feel we've never seen before. Ford has seen where we're going. Ford has heard us loud and clear. Ford has seen the future, and now the future is here. For us, Taurus, for us, Taurus, for us. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Every day is gonna be your day. You know the feeling and you know the way. Your style brings out the best. You know what it takes to live life refreshed. 'Cause Coke is me and Coke is you. Coke belongs to you and everything you do. You know you're going one better. We've got a taste for you. Coca-Cola.
No better way to bring your car in for an oil change than by driving into Quick Lube. You just pull in,
Okay, everybody down. Hi, full-service oil change.
and almost immediately we start draining your crankcase, putting on a new oil filter, and changing your oil.
Out with the bad oil, in with the good oil.
We'll also lubricate your car, check your fluid levels, vacuum your interior, and more.
Did you get the windshield? Why, is there one missing?
All in just 10 minutes while you wait.
Finished. Everybody back on top.
So remember Quick Lube, then be on your way.
Tom Hammond and Giff Nielsen again at Rice Stadium prior to the Bluebonnet Bowl matchup between Air Force and Texas. Giff, let's talk about some key players in this game today. One thing that really stands out as you look at the two teams, both have excellent kicking games.
Well, both coaches, Tom, feel like that the kicking game might be the determining factor in this game. Of course, Mark Simon is the number one kicker in the nation, averaging 43.3 yards per kick. On the other hand, John Telsic is the number 6 ranked kicker in the nation, averaging 45.2, and he is a captain for the Texas Longhorns. As far as the field goal kickers are concerned, Tom Ruby has hit 57 straight point-after touchdowns. Extremely accurate inside, not too great of range. Jeff Ward, on the other hand, a pressure kicker, great range, had 5 field goals against Arkansas. It was unbelievable.
Well, both coaches, Fred Akers and Fisher DeBerry, put a lot of emphasis on defense. The heart of any defense, the linebacking core. We're going to see some good linebackers today.
Boy, we have got a chance to see some great linebackers. Terry Mackey had 137 tackles to lead the Air Force Falcons this year. 30 against Notre Dame. He was all over the place, and Ty Allard is a senior. He's also a co-captain. He's one of Fred Akers' best players that he's ever coached.
Well, in any game that's expected to be close, as this one is, the big play might make the difference. We have some big play men to watch.
Well, Air Force has got an All-American as a safety for him. He's Scott Thomas. He plays back there. He is the All-American. He anchors the defense. Wants to be a fighter pilot. That's the kind of guy you want back there. On the other hand, Eric Metcalf is only a freshman. He's the Southwest Conference Newcomer of the Year. Watch the way he can break a game wide open. He's going to go 70 yards on this play, going all the way down the left sideline. Number 2 can really make things happen. He is the son of former NFL great Terry Metcalf. So we're going to see some big players here.
Well, of course, Scott Thomas of the Air Force broke off several long runs.
And Scott Thomas is one of 4 players nationwide or in NCAA history to return a punt for a kickoff, for a touchdown, a kickoff for a touchdown, and also an interception for a touchdown, so he can really do it.
So we have big play men that perhaps could make the difference in today's game. But as we talk about key players, we have to talk about the quarterback. Bart Weiss of the Air Force, Brett Stafford of Texas.
Well, one of the things that Weiss can do in the wishbone, Tom, is he can also throw the ball. Not only does he have to make quick decisions in running the wishbone, but he can also throw it. On the other hand, Brett Stafford has come in. The only thing that he is he's a tremendous competitor. He wants to win. He's got a great will to win. We've got some great leaders on the team.
So those are some key players that we'll be keeping our eye on this afternoon as we match Air Force against Texas here at the Bluebonnet Bowl. Well, Miss Texas USA, Christy Fitchner, was in Houston this week to celebrate Bluebonnet Bowl festivities. She arrived in style at the stadium today aboard a beautiful new Pontiac. Christy is also the Bluebonnet Bowl queen. We'll meet Air Force's talented quarterback Bart Weiss. Then we anticipate arrival of the game ball from an Air Force parachute squadron. This and much more. Kickoff just moments away in the Bluebonnet Bowl.
At McDonnell Douglas, we put millions of microscopic holes in airplane wings to give planes extra lift. Our computer programs let surgeons construct a precise plan to reconstruct a beautiful face. By adding sound to jet engines, we're working to make a quieter environment around airports. We're creating breakthroughs in aviation, space systems, information services. We're McDonnell Douglas.
Patience. That's what struck me the most learning about Coors beer. From the malting to the brewing, aging, the whole process. They never hurry. It takes about twice as long to make Coors as it does any other major beer. Yeah, they do take their time. But you can taste the difference right here. A beer that's a little less heavy, never bitter, but with all the spirit and patience of a great beer. Coors is the one.
National press out of the Western Athletic Conference this season, but not many realize that Air Force quarterback Bart Weiss, in fact, was selected to the all-WAC first team and was also selected Player of the Year in the Western Athletic Conference. He's a nominee for the Davy O'Brien Award, given each year to the nation's outstanding quarterback by the Fort Worth Club. Earlier this month, we visited his campus to meet this highly talented leader. The Thunderbird, symbolic of the Air Force and frequent visitors to the Academy campus, but not what you'll usually find on this 18,000 acres just north of Colorado Springs. The Academy is one of those places families tour on their way to Pikes Peak. It's also a place where serious-minded students go for dynamic education and a chance to fly. Cadet training takes place year-round, right through the football season. It's a challenge for the average student, but even more so for the athlete on campus, who must first concentrate on being a cadet. Despite that, football has launched the Academy into the national limelight this year. A major reason, senior quarterback Bart Weiss, the wishbone pilot, became only the third player in major college football history to both rush and pass for 1,000 yards in a single season. His cadet training proves significant.
You always know, both on the football field and up in the squadron, that no matter how bad things are going to get, there's always a way, and you're always going to pull together and things are going to come out right.
He chose to attend the Academy for reasons representative of most players there.
Well, I think the biggest thing was the broad education you get here, and a chance to go on and fly after I graduate, and just the fact that the Air Force Academy had the reputation it's had, and football played a big part in it too.
In his 20 starts, the Falcons have gone 17-3, this year losing only one.
Bart probably is the smartest quarterback that I've ever had the privilege of working with in the wishbone. He's the ideal wishbone quarterback. Not a big guy, but a guy that, has great feet, great hands, great quickness, a guy that can make a decision on the spur of the moment and has a great understanding of defensive football. And we're certainly impressed with the job that Bart has done for us this year, and he's meant an awful lot to our football program.
Well, the Air Force is here in force today. Beat Texas is one of the signs on the Air Force as they turn out in uniform. And many of the cadets have taken time off from their break at the Academy to travel to Houston and attend today's Bluebonnet Bowl game. We saw the feature on Bart Weiss, Skip Nielsen, a former quarterback in the Western Athletic Conference, as a matter of fact. Did you ever try the wishbone yourself?
I tried it once in high school, Tom, and it didn't work very well. We want to throw the ball where I come from. Well, I'll tell you what, it's an interesting situation because as a wishbone quarterback, you've got to make those split-second decisions as you come down the line, and then you've got to be able to take a hit and be able to pitch.
All right, let's go to Gary Gallup.
Sideline. We're down here on the sideline, and we have got some Texas Longhorns on our left, some Air Force Falcons on the right here. We're going to do our own version of the Gallup poll. How many votes do I hear for the Texas Longhorns today? How many votes for the Air Force Academy Falcons? All right, it looks like a toss-up to me. We'll know the answer, though, in about 2.5 hours from now, so stay with us.
We're not a company.
From the Goodyear Blimp, Houston, Texas, Rice Stadium, the Bluebonnet Bowl, as Texas meets Air Force. Here come the Texas Longhorns with a record of 8-3, appearing in their 32nd bowl game, their 9th straight bowl game under Coach Fred Akers. The Longhorns have struggled a bit in postseason competition, only 2-6 under Fred Akers. Earlier, we asked Coach Akers what he'd have to do to win today's game.
Well, I think that our football team is ready to play. We're ready to play physically. We're looking forward to the competition. So emotionally, you should see a fired-up Texas football team. We know that it's an opportunity to play on a nationally ranked team. We've got a lot of respect for Air Force, and you're playing here in our state. So we expect to go out and compete and do the best that we can.
Fred Akers of the Texas Longhorns. And now the Falcons of the Air Force with a record of 11-1, the most wins ever for an Air Force Academy team, appearing in their 4th straight bowl game. They have won their last 3 bowl appearances in a row. The Falcons of Fisher DeBerry coming into the game with the 2nd best record in all of college football. We asked Coach DeBerry if he'll have any new wrinkles for the Bluebonnet Bowl.
You know, going into every ball game, we always put a few little extra wrinkles and things into our basic game plan. But to be honest with you, Robert, we're going to go with and dance with the young lady that brought us, and certainly that's running the triple option. And a lot of that theory and a lot of that came from the great state of Texas. And so we're just going to hopefully be able to execute our basic game plan, and hopefully that will be good enough, you know, to defeat the University of Texas.
Well, the coin toss about to take place in the center of the field, Rice Stadium. As we told you, the Bluebonnet Bowl moving outside after a stint in the Astrodome, and they could not have picked a more beautiful day. It is bright sunshine. Temperatures expected to reach into the 70 degrees today.
Also, Tom, some beautiful people in that coin toss, too. As we take a look at Miss Team Texas and Miss Texas.
Tails he calls. Tails it is. You win the toss, and you can defer to the second half. Air Force wins the toss. Defer to the second half. Texas, it's your choice. You want the ball or to defend the goal? All right, will you turn your back that way, please?
As you see, Texas has won the toss and has elected to defer into the second half. Air Force will receive the ball. Texas has elected to take the win. So a strategy already off the opening coin toss. Air Force defers. Texas takes the win. Air Force will receive. Well, earlier, Gary Gallup had a chance to talk to Miss Texas. Let's go to Gary.
Today we're delighted to have Miss Texas USA, Christy Fitchner, here at the 27th Bluebonnet Bowl. Christy, have you had fun this week?
I've had a great time. We had the neatest week. We went to NASA. We went to some children's hospitals. We got to know all the guys from both teams. And it's so neat because a lot of the proceeds from this game go to children's charities around the state of Texas.
How about this football game coming up?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know who to cheer for because I'm from Texas, but the guys from Air Force look so great in their uniforms.
Well, we're glad to be bringing it to everybody, and we're glad to be able to visit with you today.
Oh, it's going to be neat. So stay tuned on the Lorimar Sports Network for the 27th Annual Bluebonnet Bowl.
A word of greeting from Miss Texas USA as we get ready to start the 27th Annual Bluebonnet Bowl game from Rice Stadium in Houston, Texas. Well, Giff, already the strategy begins. Air Force elected to defer on the decision after winning the toss to the second half. Texas, instead of choosing to receive, picked the wind. It's going to be a pretty brisk wind throughout the afternoon. What are the figures on the wind? Gusting to 15 or 20 miles an hour?
Well, it's out of the north. As you look at the game today, it'll be blowing from right to left. It'll be 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's 66 degrees here in Houston. Beautiful day for football, but it's interesting as we take a look at the coin toss and see what the Longhorns decided to do. They want to get Air Force into a hole, and they want to keep them there.
There's a look at the wind as it swirls above Rice Stadium here, and Texas with the wind at their backs, kicking with the wind here to begin the game. The Longhorns have Jeff Ward, their junior kicker out of Austin, Texas, to tee it up and kick it with the wind and expected to reach the end zone. He's got a strong leg. Both these kickers have been very accurate in the field goal department, and especially in point after touchdown. And you see the Air Force deep receivers. The wind has just blown the ball off the tee. Jeff Ward, he's going to have to tee it up again. There's a look at Thomas, number 29, Rotello, his mate, number 45. Actually got Pittman, number 47, actually deep. So Pittman and Thomas are deep to receive the opening kickoff for the Air Force. Pittman, 5'9", 180 pounds, a senior from here in Houston, Texas. And he is joined by Thomas as the kick comes underway from Ward and sails out of the end zone. So let's take a look now at the starting lineup. First for the Air Force Academy on offense. Here is the starting offensive line. Evanson starting at a tackle spot for the Falcons. Hendrickson is at left guard. The center, Rusty Wilson. At right guard, Joe Jose. The right tackle is Dave Sutton. And the tight end, Hugh Brennan, third leading receiver on this Falcon team. Quarterback, Bart Weiss. You've heard about him. He's a very talented quarterback. Kelly Pittman from Houston at a halfback. Randy Jones is the fullback. And Pat Evans, actually, is the fullback. And Jones, one of the running backs in the wishbone. 1st and 10 from the 20 for the Air Force. Here's Weiss to pass on first down. A little outlet pass to Pittman, who takes it up to about the 23-yard line. As they came right on the option play, they gained 4 yards. Gerald Senegal come up to make the tackle from a strong safety spot. Air Force goes to the air on first down.
And they're not concerned about the wind at all, Tom. Bart Weiss coming out on the option. He was looking downfield to Hugh Brennan. Brennan was covered, so he just flipped it out to one of his running backs, picked up a nice little gain. 5 yards on first play of the game.
Caught the ball just shy of the 25-yard line. Ken Carpenter, number 83. We didn't see him on the lineups, but he is the leading receiver for this Falcon team. Handoff straight up the middle and pounding ahead to the 30-yard line is Pat Evans, close to the first down. Richard Peavy made the stop for Texas as we look at the Longhorn defensive alignment. McKinney at left end. Espinoza, left tackle. The right tackle, Rocky Reed. Blake Bronner at right end for the Texas Longhorns. Here are the backers. Chris Dulabon, one of the linebackers, Britt Hager. Ty Allert, all Southwest Conference linebacker for the Longhorns. First down for Air Force. Ball right at the 30-yard line on the option. Give it to Evans. Evans gets a couple of yards, no more. Rocky Reed, one of the starting tackles, made the stop. Let's check the defensive backfield now for the Longhorns. Stephen Bragg's at a corner. The free safety is Richard Peavy, who made that last tackle. He's the leading tackler on the Longhorn squad. Senegal, the strong safety, and the other corner is Tony Tillman. Gain of 2 yards. It'll be second down and 8 yards to go for the Air Force Falcons. This is the opening series of the Bluebonnet Bowl. They played just about a minute and a half, and the Air Force has picked up 1 first down so far. Here's Weiss. Downfield, almost intercepted. Knocked away at the last moment by Tillman. Tony Tillman got in front of the intended receiver, Carpenter, to bat it away.
And one of the things the Longhorns will do today, Tom, is they'll play man-to-man on the outside receiver, Carpenter. Tony Tillman will just take Carpenter anywhere he goes. He'll probably come up in a bump-and-run situation. He doesn't care about play-action passes. That time the Falcons were going with a play-action pass. It didn't fool Tillman as he stuck man-to-man with Carpenter out on the sideline. The way that they defense the wishbone is they come up in that defensive secondary and just stay right on him, and then they let their safeties do the hitting.
Tyrone Jeffcoat into the game for the Air Force Academy, bringing the play in from Coach Fisher DeBerry. There you see Fred Akers and his defensive staff calling in the defensive alignment for the Longhorns. Third down and about 8.5 to go for the Air Force Falcons. They break the bone this time. They're in a passing set. Weiss rolling right under pressure, lets it fly, and it's going to come up short. Intended for Jeffcoat. Good pressure applied by Ty Allard and Blake Bronner as they forced Weiss to throw a little soon.
And anytime you try and defense against the pass, the best defense against that pass is to come up and put pressure on the quarterback. That time, Bart Weiss could not get his feet planted. He was throwing into a big wind, and he just couldn't get anything on the ball.
There's a look at Mark Simon, who is the leading punter in all of college football. Averaged 47.3 yards a kick. Metcalf deep for Texas. Line drive kick taken by Metcalf at about the 28. Good lane up the field. He hurdles the tackler and goes into Air Force territory down to about the 47-yard line. Metcalf, who is averaging over 10 yards a return on the punt, makes a good return. Hankemer makes the stop for the Air Force Academy. Let's take a break now. We've got timeout at the Bluebonnet Bowl in Houston, Texas. No score in the game. Air Force and Texas. We'll be back. Back at the Bluebonnet Bowl, Simon got off a 46-yard punt against the wind, but Metcalf brought it back 25 yards, and Texas in good field position from the Air Force 47 on first down. Brett Stafford, the Longhorn quarterback, tucks it under, turns upfield, gets inside the 45, down to about the 43-yard line, a 5-yard gain. Here's the offensive line for the Texas Longhorns. Stewart at a right tackle spot for Texas. Chester is the right guard. He's a native of Houston. Chilton, the All-American, at center for the Longhorns. Jeton at left guard, another Houston native. And starting at left tackle, Steve Ergel in place of the injured Rick Houston. 2nd and 5 after that 5-yard gain. The ball at the 42-yard line of the Air Force. We're in the first quarter of the Bluebonnet Bowl. 12 and a half minutes to play in that first quarter with no score. First possession of the game for Texas. From the I formation, give to the tailback Hunter. Hunter gets a couple of yards, maybe 1 yard, we'll call it, and no more than that. Here's the tight end, William Harris, for the Longhorns. Brett Stafford is the quarterback, taking over early in the season and doing a good job. Darren Norris, the sprinter, at a fullback spot. Hunter is the tailback in the I formation lineup for the Longhorns. At flanker is Russell Hayes. And Everett Gay, the leading receiver on this team, at split end. 3rd and 4 for Texas. They come out of the I formation now, and they put Hunter on a wing right. 2 wide receivers to the left. Stafford to pass. Gets it on a little outlet pass to Norris. Norris inside the 40-yard line, taken out of bounds, and it'll be short of the first down. Mike Chandler made the stop for Air Force. Let's pause now 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Lorimar Sports Network.
This is KTVV, TV 36 in Austin.
At the 39-yard line of the Air Force, it'll be 4th and 2 for Texas.
And one of the things that Stafford did on that last play, Tom, is he always had, he has that outlet receiver that he can always go to. He was looking down the field, but he decided to come out. Let's see what they can do on 4th down.
Texas goes for it on 4th down, split backs in the backfield. Again, straight ahead, and good for the first down. Down to the 35-yard line is Norris. He got 4 yards on the play, and Texas going on 4th down picks up the first down. Let's set the defense now for the Falcons of Air Force. Chad Jennings at a defensive tackle spot. Dick Clark getting a start today in place of Spiewak. Clark, a senior, and John Ziegler, the defensive tackle, all Western Athletic Conference. Hankemer, one of the linebackers. He is joined by Mike Chandler, second team all-WAC linebacker. Terry Mackey, leading tackler on the Air Force squad, and Malachowski, the other linebacker for the Falcons. First down, Texas from the 34 of Air Force. Looks deep. It's complete for the touchdown. William Harris, the tight end, takes the pass from Stafford, and Texas has scored.
It came off a play-action pass, Tom. Stafford coming out from the I formation, fakes to his running back. He's looking to the left. As we see it coming back from the center, you're going to see him. He's going to look to the left, pull the weak safety over to the left, and then he's going to come back to the right to his big tight end, William Harris, down the middle of the field for a touchdown. Beautiful throw and beautiful catch, and we have points on the board.
The Longhorns with their first possession take it in after the good punt return by Metcalf. Got some field position. They waste no time in getting the first touchdown of the game.
And I think that's a real key, too, Tom. The decision to take the win gave the Longhorns excellent field position.
So the extra point attempt is coming up. And it'll be Jeff Ward that will attempt the extra point. He has hit 31 straight point after touchdown. And is 84 of 85 in the PAT department for his career. And he puts another notch on his barrel as Jeff Ward hits the extra point. And the Texas Longhorns have broken on top of the Air Force by a score of 7-0. We'll be back to the Bluebonnet Bowl in just a moment. Houston's own Goodyear airship America. Flying this afternoon is Captain Larry Chambers from Spring, Texas. The Goodyear blimps have been flying over major American sporting events for 60 years now. Let's take a look at a touchdown replay as they covered 47 yards in 5 plays, a 34-yard pass to Harris.
And here you can see Stafford setting up, planting his feet, going straight down the middle of the field. He puts that ball up enough for Harris to be able to run underneath it. It was a beautiful catch, a beautiful throw by Stafford, and definitely the wind helped it.
So Texas with the win takes advantage and scores. The Texas cheerleaders evidently ran out onto the field after the touchdown, and they've cost their team a penalty. Unsportsmanlike conduct called against Texas, and the penalty assessed on the kickoff. They're going to have to kick off now from the 25-yard line. It's a good thing they do have the win because this potentially could give Air Force pretty good field position.
And Air Force, you can't, even though they did not move the ball very well on that very first series of downs, they've averaged 37.2 points per game. They're an exciting team, and they're going to put some things together today.
Jeff Ward set to kick it off for Texas, and that stiff wind still blowing in the favor of Texas.
Kind of interesting, Tom, that Tony Tillman is holding the ball down. He has to be the safety on the kickoff. On the kickoff team. So what will happen is he will hold the ball. Ward will go ahead and kick it, and then Tillman will watch and be the safety on the kickoff team for the Longhorns.
Well, it looks like Telchik has come in to kick it now. Telchik, number 22, the punter, is going to kick it. They throw the kicking tee off the field, and they're going to have Telchik punt on the kickoff.
That's kind of interesting. I'll tell you what, he's got a strong enough leg where he can really boot it down there, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Ward came running off the field. Telchik went on. Let's see what he can do.
Sixth leading punter in the U.S., averaging over 45 yards a punt. It's like a free kick almost. And it looks like the officials are even a little confused. Kind of, can he do that?
The officials are going, doggone it, let's see if we can do that.
Officials today out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. And Coach Fred Akers is discussing it right now as Telchik waits to punt. There are the officials, Courtney Mozzie and his crew, assigned out of the Atlantic Coast Conference for the Bluebonnet Bowl today. Fred Akers says, sure, we can do it.
And Fred Akers is saying it's a pretty good decision, I think. I'll put that ball up there high in that wind and let that 10 to 15 mile an hour wind blow that ball down there.
I think the official said, no, you can't.
It's a good try, Fred.
Here's Jeff Ward coming. You're a quarterback. You're supposed to know if you can do that or not.
all I know is you're supposed to take it over once you get the ball.
All right, so Ward is getting set to kick it off after all. You cannot punt except after a safety on a free kick. So they're going to have to kick it off, and Ward will put it on its way. And it's a pretty good kick anyway. Pittman takes it at about the 6-yard line. To the 30, the upended and gets forward to about the 32-yard line. So pretty good field position for the Air Force as Pittman brings it back 26 yards. David Fulbright on the stop for the special teams of Texas.
This is an important game for Kelly Pittman. Of course, he played at A-Leaf Hastings High School here in Houston, so he's got quite a few family members here. They probably haven't seen him for a while because he's been in Colorado at the Air Force Academy at Colorado Springs. So he's really excited to play this ball game.
Pittman, number 47, the leading scorer on the Air Force team, scored 14 touchdowns this season. From the 32, first down for Air Force. They trail 7-0. First quarter, 11:09 to play. On the option, White dragged down back at about the 29-yard line. He lost about 3 yards, 2 yards on the play. James McKinney, the defensive end, all Southwest Conference, made the stop.
And there's not a whole lot here as Weiss goes down the line of scrimmage. They offset one of their linemen, and he went right into it with the option. And Weiss was really didn't have a pitch man. He couldn't run it. He couldn't hand off. Good defense by the Texas Longhorns.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12 for the Air Force. Tyrone Jeffcoat is in at a wide receiver. He's set wide to the right. Carpenter wide left. Triple option. Here's Weiss. Stopped after a gain of about 4 on the play. Richard Peavy, the free safety, coming up to stop Weiss. Is that what they have to do, attack the quarterback on that triple option?
Well, they've got to change things up, and that's exactly what the Longhorns like to do. They've been with the rich tradition with the wishbone attack. Texas knows how to defend that, and they will change it up with their linebackers and defensive end, taking turns taking the quarterback, taking turns taking the fullback. On that particular play, Weiss was able to turn it up a little bit, but the Longhorn defense closed fast.
3rd and 8 for the Falcons. On the option, Weiss, nothing there. No gain on the play. Blake Brawner and Brett Hager, defensive end and inside linebacker respectively, made the stop on Weiss, and Air Force will have to punt again against the wind.
The Texas defense really tough right now. They pursue very quickly, and one of the things that Bart Weiss said this week, one of the things that he felt like the Air Force Academy had to do is they had to run some counter plays to counteract the quickness of the Texas Longhorns.
There's Simon set to punt. Remember, Metcalf had a good return earlier, good field position. This is a short kick by Simon. Guinea is kicking against the wind, but he gets a good roll. It's going to roll all the way down to about the 25-yard line of Texas. It was a short punt against the wind, but he got a pretty good roll on it, and so Texas backed up to its own 25-yard line. It worked out to be a 42-yard kick for Simon. Well, Air Force, one of the most potent offensive teams in the nation. You see their national rankings in several categories. they really can score some points and ground out the yardage with the wishbone.
And there's 293 yards per game on the ground, so they can run the ball as the Texas Longhorns now come up, find it 1st and 10.
With only one setback now, Edwin Simmons is into the game for the Longhorns. And the give is to Simmons, who spins his way forward for 5 yards to the 30. Mike Chandler makes the stop there, second leading tackler on this Falcon squad, with 91 stops coming into today's game. Let's check the defensive secondary for Air Force. A.J. Scott is one of the defensive men at the Falcon spot, they call him. The free safety is Scott Thomas. Scott Thomas, an all-WAC performer, 6 interceptions. Ron Wilson at a corner. He also has 6 interceptions. And Tom Rotello, who set an Air Force record with 8 interceptions this season. 2nd and 6 for Texas. 2 tight ends, Harris and McCray into the game. They keep it on the ground to Simmons. He gets forward just shy of the 35-yard line. Going to be a yard or two short of the first down. Terry Mackey made the stop. Terry Mackey, the junior from Libby, Montana, 6'2", 229 pounds. As you look at the stats on Edwin Simmons. Simmons done a good job in a backup role. He had 3 knee operations. He was advised to quit the game, but has come back and had an excellent season for the Longhorns, as you saw, gaining nearly 400 yards this season. 3rd down and a yard to go for Texas. Give to Norris, and Norris is up to the 30-yard line and close to the first down. It'll depend on the spot of the ball. Steve Spiewak made the stop for Air Force. Scott Thomas, the free safety, coming along to help out. Let's see where they spot it. It'll be very close for the first down.
It looks like they do have the first down. The ball is over the 35-yard line, so the Longhorns will have a first down at about the 35-yard line.
The football, just the length of the football past the 35, and so Texas keeps the drive alive. Edwin Simmons is back into the game for the Longhorns. Brett Stafford was at the sideline talking to Fred Akers. Now back in to call the play on first down. 7:43 to play in the first quarter. Texas leads Air Force 7-0 in the 27th Bluebonnet Bowl from Houston. Lone cutback Simmons plows straight ahead, gets only a yard. The center of the Air Force line making the stop with John Ziegler at the bottom of the stack. Ziegler, the all-WAC performer, 48 tackles, 10 sacks. He's a senior from Excelsior, Minnesota. 6'3", 240. He's one of the bigger Air Force players.
He is one of the bigger Air Force players, and there's a tremendous size difference in this football game. The Texas Longhorns average about 260 across the front line, where the Air Force Falcons average about 240 across the defensive line. So the Texas Longhorns believe that they can run the ball on this Air Force team today.
Brett Stafford has 2nd and 8. A little safety valve pass complete to Simmons. They didn't get much out of it. Perhaps lost yardage, in fact, on the play.
Air Force coming with the blitz right up the center. Stafford throwing it out to Edwin Simmons out on the sideline, and Simmons went down. He went down hard on the sidelines, but he's coming back out. He's got some tender knees. He's got a wealth of talent, but he's had those 3 knee operations, and he's been able to come back and make a contribution to this team.
Went for a loss of 3 yards on the play. Eric Metcalf, the talented freshman, comes in, replacing Simmons. Norris is also in the lineup. There's a score from the Peach Bowl. Another Service Academy in action and in front of Illinois. On 3rd and 11, Stafford in trouble. And he goes down at the 20-yard line. Flag on the play. 14-yard loss as they sack Stafford. Will check the penalty. It was Mackey that came from an inside backer spot. Chad Headings, the defensive tackle there as well. Really put the pressure on.
Chuck Kinnaman, number 38 on the plate for the Air Force.
So holding against Texas will be declined by the Air Force, and Texas will have to punt on 4th and 25.
They're not very big, but they're extremely quick, and they do a great job with technique. Chad Hennings leads the Air Force defense with 11 sacks coming into this ball game. He was there to make the stop on that particular play.
John Telchik is into punt for Texas, as we told you earlier. 45.2 is average. And you see that long punt of the season, 81 yards. Thomas is deep for Air Force. He takes it at about the 23. Looking for the wall up the sideline. Gets to the 35 and the 36, where he's stopped by the special teams of Texas. Darrell Taylor downfield to make the stop. A 52-yard kick with the win for Telchik. Let's take a break now. Texas leads.
Billy D. Williams talks about having.
Tom Hammond, Giff Nielsen, Gary Gallup on hand at the Bluebonnet Bowl in Houston, with Texas leading Air Force 7-0, 6:24 to play in the first quarter. Air Force, after a 57-yard punt from John Telchik and a 13-yard return by Scott Thomas, has it at its own 36-yard line. Weiss on the option, gave to the fullback Evans. Evans straight ahead for 2 or 3 yards, stopped by Dulabon, outside linebacker for the Longhorns, the third leading tackler on the Texas squad.
And Tom, it looks like the Texas Longhorns have come into this game with fire in their eyes. They've been ridiculed because of their last loss to Texas A&M, last year's Freedom Bowl loss to Iowa. They're ready to play today.
2nd and 8 here. Premature movement of the Texas defense. Flags fly. Johnny Smith got the handoff and was met for the defense right away, but they had a little head start. Looked like Texas jumped offside.
And a lot of times you'll get a feel for a defensive team and how aggressive they're going to be by varying your snap count. That time Bart Weiss varied his snap count, and you could see that the Texas Longhorns came flying across the line. You could see that they're really excited about getting to that quarterback. Aller goes across and says, hold on, wait a second, I got to get back, but the ball was snapped before he could get back. Good job on the part of Bart Weiss, varying that snap count.
5-yard penalty makes it 2nd and 3 now for the Air Force. Weiss 1 of 3 in the air so far this afternoon for 5 yards. His counterpart Stafford of Texas 3 for 3 and a touchdown. Again, Texas moves prematurely offside. Contact is made. The whistle blows, and it'll be a first down for Air Force. Terry Steelhammer jumping offside that time. Coach Fred Akers has gotten a couple of fresh players in the game, Llewellyn, Steelhammer, and Aldridge, and they're not having trouble with that snap count.
And you could see him go right after Bart Weiss. Boy, he was pinching down inside. Weiss just kind of looked at him when he came across. It hit him just a little bit. But that's one of the things that a quarterback has to do. If you see a team that's really up for a game, really excited, you want to vary that snap count to try and get them out of their rhythm.
Gives Air Force a first down. Steve Allen into the wide receiver for the Air Force, but the Falcons keep it on the ground. 2 yards to midfield was Johnny Smith on the handoff. Young fan on hand. Llewellyn and Cooper making the stop for Texas. They grow them young, the football fans in Texas, don't they?
They start them young, and they take them all the way up through their programs. Great high school football in the state of Texas. Great college action here in the state of Texas also.
Pat Evans back in at fullback for the Falcons, replacing Johnny Smith. Szczesniak is also in for Air Force. Ron Bryant in the game as well. 2nd and 8. Weiss on the triple option, gives again to Evans. And he's at about midfield, got a yard or two. On the triple option, they've gone to the fullback quite frequently, and yet they've not been able to gain much yardage. Is Weiss misreading early in the game?
Well, I think that there are situations on that triple option where they will read that tackle, and then there are specific calls. Weiss, the last couple of times, looks like he's just going with that fullback and not having any kind of a read. And I think what they want to try and do, Tom, is they want to hit that hole very quickly and try and get something working up the field and then try and something wide.
3rd and 7. Carpenter back in for the Air Force. Weiss. Give it straight up the middle. Wide open is Evans. He's going to go all the way. Evans finally tracked down at about the 2-yard line. Looked like he had it for the touchdown. Tony Tillman caught him from behind. Weiss fooled everybody, including me. Gave it to Evans straight up the middle. He rambled for 48 yards. Finally stopped at the 1-yard line.
And that's just what I was talking about, Tom. You want to hit that hole fast when you've got a fast pursuing defense like the Longhorns. Let's take a look at it coming right up the center. He breaks the tackle of number 41, Mark Petkovitz, and he goes all the way down to the 1-yard line. You want to hit quick. The Longhorns were anticipating the ball going wide. The Falcons went right up the pipe.
So from the 1-yard line, 1st and goal for the Air Force. Evans took it to the 1. Weiss pitches. Touchdown, Air Force. Greg Szczesniak takes it in for the Falcons. Touchdown from 1 yard out.
And there was the beautiful execution on the part of Bart Weiss. That's why he can run this offense so effectively. He faked it into the line of scrimmage to the fullback. He came down. He had the option on the defensive end. He pitched it out to Szczesniak, and Szczesniak took it into the end zone as we see Bart Weiss pulling that ball away, and then the perfect pitch. Look how the ball is right out in front of the running back as he takes it in the end zone. Nobody was there to stop him.
Extra point attempt coming up from Tom Ruby. He's 52 for 52, an Air Force record. And make it 53 in a row as he ties the game at 7. Air Force covers 64 yards in 5 plays. It took 2 minutes 47 seconds with Szczesniak getting the tying touchdown. It just looked like Texas had the wishbone stopped, and suddenly Evans explodes for a long run, and the Air Force gets on the board to tie it at 7.
When you're going into the wind, too, the best way to move that football is on the ground, and that's exactly what the Air Force Academy did on that particular drive. They just took that ball and went right at Texas. Texas, anticipating the pitches, having Bart Weiss come outside, was out in those outlying areas, and the Air Force Academy Falcons just went right up the pipe. So with 3:37 to play in the first quarter, Air Force has tied Texas at 7-7. This is the big play that set up the touchdown. Pat Evans, straight up the middle. And Evans just broke a couple of tackles right there, right at the line of scrimmage. He almost rambled all the way into the end zone. He was pulled down by Tony Tillman about the 1-yard line to set up Air Force's score.
And they did it against the wind, which has got to be a big bonus. And they'll have the wind in the second quarter of play. So getting a touchdown going against the wind has to be an advantage for the Falcons.
Well, it would be very difficult for Texas, although they have played against the wishbone and played against that wishbone very well this year, to shut it completely down. And I think Air Force was a little bit stunned the first series of downs, not being able to move the ball, but on that particular drive, they were able to take it down the field.
Tom Ruby kicks it off for the Air Force with a short kick. It's a free ball, remember, and it's taken by the Air Force. Flags down, but the Air Force had it. Remember, on the kickoff, it's a free ball once it goes 10 yards. Mark Manafo made the recovery for the Air Force. We'll check the penalty. The flag flew down after Air Force had the football.
And that's what you call a pooch kick, where you just pop that ball up in the air. One of the things the Longhorns could have done in this particular instance was call for a fair catch, and then they would have been able to catch that ball and not have anybody interfere with them. But they let the ball bounce, and the Air Force Falcons got the ball on just a little pooch kick. Good strategy on their part.
So the Falcons will have the ball at the 32-yard line of Texas at a first down. The penalty was against Texas and declined by the Air Force. The Falcons with the football. From the 32, here's the wishbone attack. Bart Weiss, the quarterback. Again, Texas moved prematurely. Whistles blow the play dead. It'll be 5 yards stepped off against the Longhorns. The roof caving in on Texas after they looked so good in the first portion of this initial quarter of play.
I'll tell you what, when we talk about Air Force, we're talking about a very disciplined type of football player. This is a typical day at the academy. They're up at 6 a.m. Their formation at 6:40. They march to breakfast by 7:30. They have classes till noon. They march to lunch. Afternoon classes, practice from 3:30 to 7. Eat dinner. They study. They take about 18 hours. They are a disciplined team, and you're going to see it on these snap counts. They love to use that snap count to help them out.
1st and 5. Weiss on the option. He keeps it down to the 15-yard line. Ty Allard made the stop, but not before Weiss rambled for 12 yards. Now they've got that triple option working.
Bottom line in the triple option is you want to have 2-on-1 to give yourself the option to either pitch the ball or carry it yourself. That time Weiss was able to get outside. His option guy was behind him. The defensive safety for the Longhorns went for the pitch guy. Weiss turned it up and made a big gain.
First down for the Falcons from the 15-yard line. Ron Bryant is in for the Air Force at a wide receiver. Gain of 3 yards, 4 yards on the play as Evans carries off tackle. Petkovic made the stop for Texas.
To show you how successful the Air Force Academy Falcons are at running the wishbone, Szczesniak is the only player averaging 3 yards per carry. Everybody else is over 4 yards per carry, and that's pretty impressive when you're running the football.
Steve Allen is in at a wide receiver spot for the Air Force Falcons. Here's the wishbone attack, 2nd and 6. Long count by Weiss. Here's the option. Weiss to the 5, out of bounds at the 2. Senegal drove him out of bounds at the 2-yard line. A 9-yard pickup by Weiss.
And you have to be impressed, Tom, with Air Force and the adjustments that they have made. Somewhere after that first series, they went to the sidelines and they decided to change up their blocking schemes just a little bit. And that's exactly what they've been able to do in order to be successful. Watch as the linemen come through and stop the backers from any kind of pursuit. Weiss is able to break the first layer, and there's nobody there because the linemen are now stepping through on the linebacker.
Weiss picked up the first down. He was the leading rusher on this Air Force squad, 1,032 yards. First and goal from the 2. On a counter play, Pittman hit at the line of scrimmage. Perhaps he got a yard out of it. Ty Allard met him at the pass and drove him back.
What a great play by Allard. Watch him as we look at it from the ground level. Pittman looks like he's going to score, and then Allard is right there to stop him. Allard, of course, one of the captains. He's from the Houston area, went to Northbrook High School, all Southwest Conference. He's as good as you'll find in the country.
Carpenter in for the Air Force. Jeffcoat goes out. Second and goal from the 1-yard line. Less than 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Game tied at 7, but the Falcons threatening. Straight ahead, Weiss. Touchdown. Bart Weiss has scored for Fisher DeBerry's Falcons to put the Air Force on top.
Bart Weiss saying, I'll do it all by myself. I'm just going to take this one in. Of course, the Longhorns, once again, playing those outside pitching lanes and the outside rush of the fullback. We're headed to the outside. Weiss just took it in by himself.
After recovering the kickoff, the Falcons took it 32 yards in 5 plays, with Weiss capping it off with the 1-yard touchdown run. Tom Ruby tries to add the extra point. Mark Simon is the holder. It's good. Ruby now has hit 59 consecutive points after touchdown.
And that carries over into 2 seasons. So far this year, he's 54 out of 54, and that's pretty impressive. But he did have a few last year. He kept that string going. Ruby can really kick it. He doesn't have the strength in his leg that Ward has for Texas, but he's extremely accurate.
And that is a school record for the Air Force. He's had 2 today, so 59 straight for Ruby. It has to be a big advantage for the Air Force to have scored 2 touchdowns against the wind.
I'll tell you what, and the only way you can do that with the wind blowing as hard as it is blowing right now is to keep that ball on the ground, and the Air Force football team has just been able to march that ball. The adjustments made by Air Force in their blocking schemes has really been able to help them out in moving that football.
That's how brisk the wind is blowing here at Rice Stadium this afternoon. Tom Ruby will tee it up and kick it off again. Remember, on the last kickoff, he did a little, what'd you call it?
A little pooch kick.
Pooch kick.
Yes. I'll tell you what, another player in professional ball that really did that very well was Tony Frisch. And he could pop that thing right over the front line of the kickoff return team. And a lot of times that is a valuable weapon because those players don't exactly know what to do when that ball is up there that high.
It paid off for the Falcons after they recovered that kick. They took it in for the go-ahead touchdown. There's another little short kick. And a mix-up between the Texas players as to who was going to take it. Finally taken by one of the up men going backwards. And gets maybe a yard to the 21. Lee Beckelman backing up, caught it, returned it a couple of yards, and Texas will take over. They're sort of scrambling on that kickoff return team.
They are, and one of the things you have to realize is they're kicking into that strong wind. So the higher you put that ball, the more that ball is going to hold up, and they're kicking right dead center into that wind, and Ruby just kind of put that ball up again. 2 Longhorns were deciding whether they were going to catch it or not, but they finally came down with it.
So here's the Texas offense now. Remember, the first time the Longhorns had the football, they moved briskly down the field to score. Right now they find themselves behind 14-7 with a minute and a half to play in the first quarter. Stafford at quarterback gives to his tailback Metcalf, dodged one man, retreats, and is taken down back at the 19-yard line. A 2-yard loss as Malachowski chased down Metcalf and put the stop on him.
And right now we're seeing the discipline of the Air Force defense. They know their gaps, they know their responsibilities, and even though that Metcalf has that big play possibility, the Falcons were right there to hold him to it.
There's Malachowski, the senior. He's a native of Valparaiso, Indiana. Came into today's game with 54 tackles to his credit. 2nd and 12. They run straight ahead. Darren Norris gets the call and maybe a yard or 2. As the center of the Air Force line stacks him up. Hennings, Ziegler combining on the stop for the Falcons.
Darren Norris is another guy on the Texas team, Tom, that has big play potential. He can run the 100 meters in under 10.5. That is pretty impressive. He's only a freshman, and he comes into the league or into college football with very high credentials.
Was one of the top high school sprinters in America out of El Camino, California. High school All-American. Gained 1,400 yards as a high school senior and a starter as a freshman for Fred Akers. On 3rd and 10, Stafford complete to the 35 to Russell Hayes. It's going to be short, I believe, though, of the first down as A.J. Scott took him out of bounds. Will it be enough for the first down? Yes, it is.
I think he's going to get the first down. Nice throw on the part of Brett Stafford. They like to roll out, but there is a penalty flag down on the field. Watch Stafford as he comes out. He can really throw on the run. He puts that thing right between the 1 and the 4. Hayes got his feet in bounds, but it looks like the penalty is going to bring this play all the way back.
It will go against Texas and will nullify the first down reception. Going to place the ball all the way back to the Longhorn 11-yard line. Here's the call.
Holding on the offense. It's 3rd down.
So a holding call not only nullifies the first down, but sets the ball back to the 11-yard line, where the Longhorns will have 3rd and long coming up.
Boy, that really hurts you because the Longhorns right now want to get some of that early momentum that they lost. They took the ball in, scored first, and then they came back. Air Force has scored 2 touchdowns this first quarter. Now the Longhorns trying to get it back, and Brett Stafford just called a timeout. We've got 13 seconds left to go in this first quarter, and I think more important than anything, we've got 13 more seconds for the Texas Longhorns to have the win.
Well, faced with a 3rd and 22 situation or so, Texas' Brett Stafford, their quarterback, just was mixed up on what play he should call. He went over to talk to Fred Akers, and Texas, after looking so great early in the game, is really scrambling both offensively and defensively now.
They really are, and one of the things that Stafford has been able to do this year is he's been able to come back with the big plays. It's not, it hasn't been a really impressive looking play, but he's always seemed to come up with the big plays when they've needed it, and this is a situation right now where he could really help out his Longhorn teammates by coming up with that big play.
Texas have been penalized 5 times for 40 yards now. The Air Force has not incurred a penalty as yet. The Air Force also has taken advantage of the 1 turnover in the game. That was forced by Texas and enabled the Air Force to go in for a touchdown to put them on top, 14-7.
And you talk about those penalties. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of penalties by the Air Force team because that's just the way they live. If you talk to the assistant coaches and you talk to head coach DeBerry, that is just their lifestyle. They do not do things, make too many penalties just because they're so disciplined in every part of their life.
3rd and long for Texas. 13 seconds remaining in the quarter. Draw play, and not much there for Norris. He's finally swamped by white jerseys. He got 3 or 4 yards when they needed 22.
And it's kind of interesting that the Texas Longhorns hurry and called a timeout before the end of the quarter. They want to punt this ball with the wind at their back. Telchik had a 57-yarder, I think, the very first kick. They did not want him to kick into the wind and give the Air Force Academy good field position. Air Force has a tendency right now where they will get this ball in pretty good field position as it stands, but if you're kicking into the wind, they might get the ball in their own territory.
Well, they did call another timeout, the second timeout they've taken, stopping the clock with 8 seconds remaining in the first quarter of play as they want to ensure that Telchik will be kicking with the wind. Fred Akers on the Longhorn sideline saw his team score on his first possession, but since then they've had trouble stopping the Air Force and have made several mental mistakes as well.
And as you look at the Texas Longhorns as they come into this second quarter, you have to wonder exactly what kind of strategy they're going to use. They're not going to be able to really put that ball up too much. They're going to have to run the ball, but they haven't been that successful running the ball against Air Force.
Remember, Telchik had a 57-yarder on his first punt this afternoon. Thomas is deep for the Air Force. From his own end zone, the barefoot kicker, Telchik. Good pressure on him. He got it high in the air and sends it downfield. Taken by Thomas at about the 38-yard line. Slips a couple of tackles and takes it to the 45 before he's ridden out of bounds. Flag on the play. That will do it for the first quarter, but I think there is a flag down. We'll wait and see. Mike January made the stop for Texas.
The dead ball. Personal foul on the orange.
So another penalty against Texas. A personal foul will be stepped off against the Longhorns as we begin the second quarter. That's the end of the first quarter of play, with Air Force leading Texas 14-7. You by Ford, who invites you to drive the new Ford Taurus. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Nescafe Custom Blend. Tom Hammond, Giff Nielsen, and Gary Gallup on hand at the Bluebonnet Bowl in Houston. Air Force leading 14-7. Here's a look at that penalty, a personal foul against Texas. Just a little too aggressive after they got him over the sideline.
A little too aggressive in front of the Air Force bench, and I guarantee you, if you went to war, you wouldn't want to go against the Air Force Academy. And that's exactly what the Longhorns were facing.
Texas penalized now for 55 yards. No penalties against the Air Force. It nullified a good punt by Pelchik with the win. And now Air Force at the 39 of Texas. Here's a pitch. Pittman lost the football. Back to pick it up, back into Air Force territory. He's dragged down at the 44-yard line. McKinney and Espinoza collared him back there. It looked like Pittman had good running room on the sweep, but he just dropped the football. He had to go back and get it and lost yardage.
Well, Bart Weiss coming down, pitching the ball very quickly. Pittman has it in his arms. He can see that he has a big alley. In fact, Pittman had a chance possibly to go all the way for a touchdown. The hole was that big, and Pittman, just losing control of the ball, tried to pick it up and do something with it. By that time, the Longhorns were all over him.
17-yard loss. It sets up 2nd and 27 now for the Air Force. Back at the 44 of the Falcons. Ron Bryant is in the game. Here's Weiss being taken down at the 40. James McKinney, the defensive end, the All-Southwest Conference performer, is going on to play in the Hula Bowl. Made a good stop on that one.
And that time McKinney just kind of let the fullback go and then wrapped his arms around Bart Weiss. It was a good defensive play on the part of McKinney. Sometimes when you're running that triple option, you've got to be able to hand that ball to the fullback. In that particular situation, McKinney just kind of threw the fullback aside and went and got Bart Weiss.
Right now, the Falcon offense is going in reverse. It's 3rd and 31 for the Air Force. All at their own 40-yard line. Air Force has not converted on 3rd down so far in the game, but they have the 14-7 lead. Here's Pat Evans, the fullback, and he gets 3 or 4 yards. It'll be a punting situation for the Air Force.
And we're going to have a chance to come in and see Mark Simon punt the ball. Simon, of course, well, we had a penalty on the play. Tom, it looked like it was an offside penalty against the Air Force Academy. So it looks like that Air Force will come in and run one more play. It's going to be very difficult for him to pick up the 1st down.
The delay of game, I think, against the Air Force. It set them back 5 yards. The first penalty against the Falcons. And it makes it 3rd and 36.
Hugh Brennan bringing the play in to quarterback Bart Weiss as the Falcons come to the line of scrimmage.
And they line up in the normal wishbone set, with only one wide receiver set to the right. Weiss got some running room. Dives forward to about the 44-yard line. Ty Allert and Blake Brawner making the tackle for Texas. And so on 4th down, Simon will come into the game to kick it, this time with the win.
Well, he is the nation's #1 punter. He was all WAC in the Western Athletic Conference. He does not have any punts blocked so far this year, and there's an exciting player back there, Eric Metcalf, waiting to receive the punt of Mark Simon.
With the win, Simon sails it to Metcalf, who lets it bounce at the 10, and it goes on into the end zone for a touchback. So Texas will put it in play from its own 20-yard line after the punt by Simon, which covered 57 yards.
And once again, we have to tell people that the Texas Longhorns during the second quarter will be going into the wind. That will have some kind of an effect on the passing game. They have really been unable to run too much on the Air Force defense. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of a strategy Fred Akers is going to come up with.
Since 1960, the Texas Longhorns have been tough in this stadium. They play Rice here, of course, every other year. No strangers to the Houston area or to this stadium. They've been very successful here. Now they trail 14-7. Again, it's to Hunter, and Hunter finds good running room up to the 30-yard line and close to the 1st down. Making the stop was A.J. Scott from his rover back or Falcon position. but not before Hunter got first down yardage for the Longhorns.
Boy, that makes life easy for a quarterback. When you can hand it off to your tailback and have the tailback get that kind of yardage, that takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback, and in this case, Brett Stafford.
Fourth first down of the game for the Texas Longhorns as Hunter picks it up. The Air Force has racked up 5 first downs. The Falcons lead 14-7. Again, they give the ball to Hunter, and again he gets 3 or 4 yards, this time to the 35. Stop made by Spiewak on the nose guard for the Air Force Falcons.
One interesting note in this football game, 30 of the 120 players that Texas brought to this game are from Houston. There are 40,000 Texas X's in the city of Houston. After the 1966 Bluebonnet Bowl game in which Texas won, that recruiting led to the team that won 30 straight games.
2nd and 5 for the Longhorns here from the I formation. Double wide receivers to left. Stafford collided with the man he was handing off to, Norris. He got 2 yards out of it. And a little mix-up in the backfield as Terry Mackey came across to make things tough on the Longhorns. Mackey, the leading tackler the last 2 seasons for the Falcons, as Giff noted earlier, 30 tackles against Notre Dame.
He was just totally incredible. That time, Norris, the running back or the fullback, got just a little bit too close to Brett Stafford. I don't think Stafford wanted to give him the ball. I think he wanted to pull it out, carry out the option, and have the opportunity to pitch it to Charles Hunter. But that's what happens when that fullback gets too close to the quarterback.
On 3rd and 3, the pitch is to Hunter. Good pressure from the Air Force defense, and they stop him short of the first down. Scott Thomas, the free safety, came up on a hurry, and Terry Mackey from that linebacker spot forcing the play wide and taking him out of bounds.
We talked just a little bit about Scott Thomas. He's kind of an interesting guy as far as being at the Air Force Academy. He admires Bears quarterback Jim McMahon, if that tells you anything. He's got kind of a short haircut. They call him Spike. He loves to hit people. He wants to be a fighter pilot.
So Telchik will have his first opportunity to kick into the wind now. And you saw Thomas deep for the Air Force. There's Telchik. Low line drive kick, bounces, takes a big hop to the 20, where Thomas loses the ball. Loose and recovered by the Air Force. Thomas fumbled the ball. Steelhammer was down on the coverage, but Rotello was able to fall on it, and the Air Force will retain possession. We've got a timeout. Air Force leads 14-7. Didn't get much that time. It's going to be 4th down and 1.
That looked like the Air Force Academy Falcons had every little gap taken care of. You're going to see 4 or 5 linemen sitting right there in gaps. And then you're going to see the kamikaze, Scott Thomas, come in from the defensive backfield and really finish things off. I think he will be a good pilot. He's a pretty daring guy.
He is indeed. There's Hunter. You saw the stats on Hunter this afternoon, most of those coming on this drive, but he comes up a yard short, and on 4th down, Telchik is in to punt. Telchik has punted 3 times, has averaged 50 yards a punt. Ended up against the wind. Thomas drops the ball, loose still, out of bounds, and it went out of bounds. It will be the possession of, it depends on who had it last, Air Force, indeed. Texas had 3 men around the ball. They couldn't keep it in bounds and get it. It'll belong to the Air Force. They had possession last. Watch what happened again. Texas missed a golden opportunity.
This guy does not want to call for a fair catch. He's got Texas Longhorns all around him. He says, no way, I'm going to take this ball, and he had a chance to go with it.
Air Force leads. We'll be back.
The Goodyear Blimp America on hand for this
Bluebonnet Bowl game this afternoon. Tom Hammond, Giff Nielsen, Gary Gallup on the sideline, and a good crowd on hand at the Bluebonnet Bowl. Beautiful afternoon. Game time temperature about 66, expected to climb up into the 70s. From its own 12, Air Force with a first down. The option Weiss keeps and gets nothing. He's hit and dropped at the 11 by Britt Hager, inside linebacker, the 4th leading tackler on the Longhorn squad.
And that time, Texas had everybody covered. Everybody did their assignment. Britt Hager was the guy that had to get back outside from the middle linebacker position to capture Bart Weiss. It looked like Weiss was audibilizing at the line of scrimmage. I kind of got the feeling as he looked out to his wide receiver on the left side that he might try and throw some kind of a pass, but he was just audibilizing to come back to the right side.
He lost the yard at 2nd and 11. again for a loss on the play as Texas stiffens its defense against that wishbone once again, as they had early in the game. Bronner and McKinney, the defensive ends, collapsed on Weiss.
And it appears we've got a little chess game going on. It seems like that Air Force will be able to move the ball just a little bit, and then they'll be stopped. The Texas Longhorns will make some adjustments. They'll come out and play very good football. There's Blake Bronner right there. He's a big junior. And interesting coaching situations happening on both sides of the ball.
There's the Peach Bowl score. Army way in front of Illinois in the second quarter. We've got all the service academies going this afternoon. Navy the only one left out. Here's the pitch back to Pittman. Pittman gets not much, a yard or two. And McKinney smelled that one out. Tony Griffin, one of the 5 defensive backs the Longhorns had in the game, comes up to make an assist on the play. And it's going to be 4th and 14 for Air Force. And Simon is in once again to punt.
And hats off to the Texas defense on that particular series. They were able to shut down that triple option on every play.
Simon will punt from midway in his own end zone, and Metcalf is deep for Texas. Sailing punt, Metcalf has it at midfield. Retreats to try to pick up his blockers and falls down as he tries to get away from the lone man that had a shot at him. He was trying to get behind the wall that was set up beautifully, but he fell down trying to make a cut. Steve Sigler covered him. It was a 41-yard punt, and he lost 8 yards on the return trying to pick up his blockers. We'll take a timeout here. 2:39 to play first half. Air Force leads Texas 14-7. Accommodations for the Lorimar Sports Network provided by the Wyndham Hotel Travis Center in Houston, located adjacent to the Texas Medical Center and Rice University in the professional, educational, and cultural hub of Houston. Texas with the football and 2:39 remaining to play in the second quarter with a 1st and 10 from their own 42. On the delayed draw play, it's Metcalf who takes the handoff, tries to get outside but picks up only a couple of yards before he's ridden out of bounds by A.J. Scott.
Outstanding play on the part of A.J. Scott. A.J. Scott playing the Falcon. It's a strong safety in most defenses, but they call it the Falcon at the Air Force Academy. Just stayed right where he lined up, and he just watched what happened in the backfield. All the defensive backs decided they were going to drop back. Scott stayed right where he was, and the running back for Texas came right to him. Scott was able to drive him out of bounds. Nice play.
Russell Hayes is in at a wide receiver for the Longhorns. Gay to one side, Hayes to the other on 2nd and 8. Stafford. Ball tipped and almost intercepted. It's incomplete. Ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. They intended it for Harris, and the ball was tipped by Malachowski, who made a diving attempt at the interception after the ball was tipped, and Malachowski couldn't quite come up with it.
It looked like Harris had a step on Malachowski going across the center, and it looked like if the ball would have gotten to him, he had some room to operate. But Malachowski, just with quick reactions, just about picked off the pass, but the Longhorns come up in a 3rd down situation.
3rd and 8, as a matter of fact. They send Hayes in motion. Stafford rolling right. Throws on the run. Incomplete. Intended for Hayes down the right sideline. Juwan Wilson had good coverage for the Air Force. And it'll be 4th down for the Longhorns.
Stafford just about threw that ball a little bit too late, but he had Gay coming right across the center. Of course, it's a lot easier to see that from up here, Tom. We can see people open all the time, but when you're down on that field with Stafford rolling to his right, he wanted to get that ball to Hayes out in the flat. He threw that ball just a little bit too late because Hayes was open momentarily.
Spoken by a former quarterback. He's been in that situation several times. Telchik to punt. He's punted 4 times for a 46-yard average. Thomas is deep. Good punt here against the wind. It's going to bounce and hit and come back. Had perfect spin on it. It'll be down inside the 10. Beautiful punt by Telchik against the wind.
What a kick. A high spiral into the wind that really got a lot of height on it, a lot of depth on it, and then died right on about the 10-yard line. John Telchik is an interesting story. Fred Akers says, how many kickers do you know that are captains? Telchik is a captain on this Longhorn team. As we take a look at from the end zone, take a look at his motion as he kicks that ball. He kicks without a shoe, but he stood up after Texas got beat by Texas A&M the last game of the season.
And he told his teammates, he said, guys, we want to go to Houston, and we want to play in that Bluebonnet Bowl, and we want to play well. We don't want to just show up for that game, and the Longhorns are doing that.
That was a 48-yard punt. First down for the Air Force. Backs up. Straight handoff this time to Pittman, who brings it out to the 15-yard line. Bronner and Peavy combine on the tackle, but Pittman found a little running room as they went to the straight handoff that time.
They went to that straight handoff. It was just kind of a counteraction by the quarterback, but it was a quick hitter by the back going off the left side. I thought we would see more of that from Air Force coming into this ball game a little bit earlier, but they went to it on that play and were successful.
Gained 7 yards, 2nd and 3. This time on the option, Weiss is keeping, has the first down, fumbles the ball out of bounds. Air Force will have it at the 26-yard line and a first down. Brian Espinoza took him out of bounds with help from Chris Dulabod.
Once again, Tom, we're seeing the chess game by the coaches. The last time Air Force came out, Texas did everything right. I mean, they stopped them 3 straight downs running the triple option. Air Force comes out the very first play, runs kind of a little counter quick hitter, and the Air Force Falcons were able to get some yardage. That time it opened up the triple option with Bart Weiss. So we're seeing a little chess game by the coaches. It's kind of neat.
Saw Fisher DeBerry, the Air Force coach. Weiss got 11, first down Falcons. Weiss puts it in the air. Knocked down and almost intercepted. Good coverage by Texas. Intended for Carpenter. And on the coverage, Tony Tillman, who had a chance to intercept.
And Bart Weiss is going to get flattened right here. He's limping just a little bit. Watch as he throws that ball up. He came off a play-action pass. Texas defense, they don't care about play-action passes. Tony Tillman is going to be on Carpenter man for man. He doesn't even look in the backfield. He plays him in a tight man-to-man. He does not care what happens in the backfield. He just wants that outside receiver.
As that one developed, Carpenter became the defensive man, knocked it away from Tillman, who could have intercepted. 2nd and 10. Handoff. Hit at the line of scrimmage was Randy Jones. Espinoza led the charge for the Longhorns. Ty Ellert got an assist.
And that was the counteraction one more time coming to this side. They ran it on the very first play of this series to the left side. They wanted to come back with it, see if they could get anything, but the Longhorns were there to put a stop to it.
Look at Bart Weiss, who gets the play, brought in by Ken Carpenter. Carpenter, as you may know, is the son of Bill Carpenter, who is the lonesome end of Army fame. His dad is a major general now and in the College Football Hall of Fame. Weiss pitches, blockers in front. Here's Pittman. Flags down as he picks up the first down. Stephen Braggs made the stop for Texas. Flag on the play as Pittman on the sweep picked up enough for the first down.
Holding on the offense.
An 11-yard gain by Pittman is nullified by the holding call against Air Force.
I was going to say that's exactly how you draw up the triple option, because that was just beautiful. The running lane was there, the fake to the fullback was there, the pitch was there, but apparently the reason it was all there is because there was a holding penalty.
Watch it again from behind in the end zone camera as the pitch goes very quickly to Pittman. He's got blockers out in front, but a holding call will bring it back, and they'll spot the ball now at the Air Force 27-yard line, where it'll be 3rd and 9.
41 seconds left to go in the first half of this football game.
And the Air Force holding a 14-7 lead. Air Force now penalized twice for 15 yards. Texas has been assessed 55 yards in penalties. Weiss gives to the first man through. That's Johnny Smith, who's in the game at fullback. Smith comes across the 30, but is shy of the first down. With only 18 seconds left, Texas calls a timeout to stop the clock. They want a chance to get the football and a chance to perhaps score before halftime.
Well, that's going to be very difficult for them to do unless they go in and block the kick because the wind is blowing in their face.
Let's go to the field now and Gary Gallup. Gary?
All right, Tom, it's almost halftime with just 18 seconds left to play in the first half. We'll be visiting with Fisher DeBerry as the Air Force Falcons come off the field. It's been a hard-hitting first half down here, and it's been a spurt of offense and defensive views, as you have pointed out here during the first half, but we'll be talking with Fisher DeBerry at the end of the half.
Well, as Gary points out, only 18 seconds left to play, and Texas calling the timeout. I guess they want to give the big play guy, Eric Metcalf, a chance to return it. He has already had some spectacular returns of punts and kickoffs this year, and they want to give him a chance to perhaps break one open. Eric Metcalf, the son of Terry Metcalf, who Played in the NFL for a number of years, and he's only 17 years old, that young man. He won't be 18 until next month. What a future he has.
He really does have a future, Tom. This guy can run the 100 meters in about 10.54 seconds. So this guy can really run, too. Anytime he gets his hands on the ball, you never know what's going to happen.
And a 75-yard kickoff return, an 80-yard pass reception and run, a 71-yard run from scrimmage, so he can break a long one. Simon to punt. Metcalf lets it bounce, and he's going to let it bounce all the way. And Air Force will let it roll dead at the 18-yard line. The clock ticks down 3, 2, and it stops there. With 2 seconds left, Texas will get a chance for one play. That's a 54-yard kick for Mark Simon. Mark Simon, we told you, the leading punter in the nation with a 47.3 yard per punt average. 83 was his longest this season. He's also the career leader at the Air Force Academy with a career average of nearly 45 yards a kick.
Boy, when you're a kicker and you don't hit the ball very well, and Simon didn't kick it that time like the Mark Simon that we all know, but when you're a kicker, you want those backs back there that are trying to catch that ball not to catch it, because he got about 20 extra yards. That really helps out the average.
2 seconds left. This will be the last play. Stafford looked like he was surprised when the snap came to him, and he just ran it off tackle, got it up to the 15-yard line as the first half comes to an end. Mike Chandler made the stop for Air Force on the final play of the first half of action. Well, Texas struck first to go ahead 7-0, but then the Air Force came right back to score, marching down the field after a long run by Evans. And then after recovering the kickoff, Air Force scored again to take a 14-7 lead at intermission of the 27th annual Bluebonnet Bowl from Houston's Rice Stadium. Let's go down to the field where Gary Gallup has the Air Force coach, Fisher DeBerry. Gary?
Thank you, Tom. We got Fisher DeBerry here with us. Congratulations, Coach. Your team is ahead 14-7 here at halftime. They really got things cranked up there after Texas went in for that first score.
Well, Gary, I think we're going in hibernation right now. I tell you the dead-gone truth. We got to make some first downs. We got to move the football. We're not doing a very good job of reading. We're not doing a very good job of executing. We got to come back out in the second half, keep our defense off the field for a little while. They've been out there, it seems like, the whole game.
You know, that wind is really playing some havoc out there, too.
You better believe it did. And early in the ball game, and of course, I think that's the reason Texas, elected to kick off. And certainly they had us in a hole there. We were able to come back and get a couple plays there, but certainly the kicking game, I think, has been outstanding on both sides.
Okay, Coach, congratulations, and we'll talk to you. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you very much, Gary.
An entertaining halftime show is coming up your way. This is the 27th annual Bluebonnet Bowl.
We're not a company, but we recognize potential. We develop it. We use it. We'll make sure that as your responsibility grows, so will you. As your ability for leadership grows, so will you. Working with us, you'll gain self-confidence. Become a person with a future. We're not a company. We're your country. We're the Marines, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. We're the armed forces. It's a great place to start.
In the beginning, only a select few could get the weather forecast when they needed it. But now anyone can, anytime they want, with the Weather Channel. Up-to-the-minute local forecast, 8 times an hour, 24 hours a day, every day. And only on cable. So you won't have to miss the boat ever again. The Weather Channel. Weather of a higher order.
This bud's for all that you do. You keep America going. You keep the juices flowing. You are the muscle, the hope and the hustle. You keep the country growing, and you make America work. And this bud's for you.
Here's to you, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
This bud's for you.
Hello, I'm Mark White. As Governor of Texas, I want to welcome you to the 27th annual Bluebonnet Bowl between the University of Texas and the U.S. Air Force Academy. The Bluebonnet Bowl kicks off the Texas Sesquicentennial celebration, marking 150 years of independence. During this year-long celebration in 1986, Texas will host other major sporting events, including the Cotton Bowl game and the NCAA basketball finals in Dallas. And in July, here in Houston, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game and the U.S. Olympic Festival. Many other special events are planned to mark the great moments in Texas history. Come to Texas in 1986 and help us celebrate a century and a half of independent spirit.
The Bluebonnet Bowl is being brought to you by the U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. By Pontiac, America's road car company. Pontiac, we build excitement. And by Bud Light, the light beer with a first name and taste. Everything else is just a light. We're at halftime of the Bluebonnet Bowl in Houston with the Air Force Academy leading Texas 14-7. Now to take you through the halftime show, let's go to the field and Gary Gallup.
And right now, let's enjoy some music of the United States Air Force Academy Drum and Bugle Corps. Now let's visit the Air Force Academy campus in Colorado Springs. Then some important messages, and then the Longhorn Band, and more right here on the Lorimar Sports Network.
Located just north of Colorado Springs, Colorado, with an enrollment of 4,400 young men and women, the primary purpose of the Air Force Academy is to motivate and prepare career officers for the United States Air Force. All cadets participate in a demanding four-year program of academic studies, leadership and military training, athletics, and character development. This balanced curriculum provides the broad professional foundation cadets will need as Air Force officers to meet the challenges of the 21st century.
This university has a splendid record of providing the opportunity for learning to gifted students. We face both challenges and opportunities ahead. I welcome them and look forward to working with all of you who value this institution in rising to meet them.
The Air Force Drum and Bugle Corps has just concluded their halftime performance to this 50 or 60,000 people in attendance in this ball game. It is halftime, and of course the Air Force Academy is leading Texas 14-7. It's been a good first half, a hard-hitting first half, and Texas scored first on their first possession, and then Air Force came back scoring on two straight possessions within a period of 2 minutes to take a 14-7 lead in the first half. Coming up, the show band of the Southwest, the University of Texas Marching Band under the direction of Glenn Richter.
Ladies and gentlemen, the University
Texas Longhorn Band.
Selects the best playing and marching collegiate band in the nation. This year, the director of the Sousa Foundation has announced that their unanimous choice for the most outstanding collegiate band in the nation is the band you're about to see, the University of Texas Longhorn Band. So, with the exciting march from the movie classic, El Cid.
But, you know, the Texas quarterbacks have provided some outstanding plays as well this season. Todd Dodge began the season as the Horns' #1 quarterback. The senior from Port Arthur, Texas, had just come off a school record-setting year for pass attempts, completions, and yards. And this season, he had some bright moments.
Coach Akers just said, let's go for broke, you know, get a good play-action fake. And I went in the hole and told Donovan to pitch and run as far as fast as he could. And I just, you know, threw it as far as I could, and it worked for us.
But sophomore Brett Stafford had performed so well in his brief appearances, it was hard to keep him on the sideline. Against Arkansas, he hit 10 of 14 passes and became the starter for the rest of the year. He's a ball player with big play potential who carries a mature view of his season performance.
I did some things I wanted to do, but I'm not satisfied yet, and I had a lot of help from my teammates, the line and the receivers, and we played well as a team this year, so I think that's the main thing that I accomplished this year.
Well, Brett has really meant a lot to the football team. I think his individual spirit is kind of indicative of what our football team did. He's young and making mistakes, but he's an instinctive football player and a great competitor, and he has improved. He's improved a lot.
For the season, Stafford averaged more than 3 yards per carry, including this 74-yard touchdown run against Stanford. He threw for 943 yards, completing 60 of 108 passes for a 56% completion rate. Had the 6'1" sophomore from Belton reached the 1,000-yard mark, he would have become only the 10th Longhorn to do so. Dodge holds the record of 1,599 set last year. What makes him such a fine runner?
Well, the play calling really helps me out. It's kind of deceiving when I run the ball because it's kind of off of play fake, so I have a little edge there.
If things happen that the offense doesn't move, then, I'm over there to, kind of be the relief pitch, you might say.
Coach Akers and the Longhorns in a good position with 2 fine quarterbacks here today. And coming up next, more than 2,000 youngsters from around the nation will converge on this Rice Stadium field for a tribute to the state of Texas and its sesquicentennial celebration. Halftime at the Bluebonnet with a score. Air Force 14 and the Texas Longhorns 7.
At Austin each summer, we introduce 600 of the brightest high school students to our honors colloquium.
I came to the honors colloquium because I was aware of the fact that UT ranked among the top in the country in the number of National Merit Scholars.
You can't have simply a good program. You have to have good teachers. You have to have good students. And that really makes the place.
Earl, it's going to take...
Football in Texas is very special. And a bowl game is trebly special, because we like to go to bowl games, we like the festivities, we like the joy of it, and this year, it seems to me it's most special of all because we're just starting the 150th anniversary of our freedom. And this sesquicentennial year is one in which bowl games are going to be especially appreciated.
We're visiting with Jack Busick, president of the Bluebonnet Bowl. And Jack, congratulations on a great event this year.
Oh, thank you. We're excited. We have 2 of the finest teams in the country and a beautiful day, as you can see, and it's a great way to kick off Houston's celebration of Texas' sesquicentennial and Houston's 150th birthday.
You must have had a talk with the weatherman today. It's just a super day for this ball game.
I think a lot of people had a talk with the weatherman, and a lot of people are already standing in line taking credit.
All right, Jack, I would like to present to you on behalf of American Airlines and Hotel Corporation of the Pacific this Aloha Condo Vacation Package. Now, this is for the 2 head football coaches. The trip includes a round-trip airfare to Hawaii, and that's on American Airlines, of course, and deluxe hotel accommodations, so I'm sure they're going to enjoy that.
Well, I think they're going to enjoy that, and I think it's only appropriate that go to the finest coaches in the country. Texas has a long tradition of great football teams, and we're seeing an Air Force team that may be one of the top service academy teams. I think it is probably since the 40s. So they're very deserving of this award, and we thank American Airlines for this. Thank you.
Congratulations to you and your staff again on a great show today.
Thank you very much.
Well, there's a sight that the people of Houston wish they could see every day around here. Nobody on the freeway down there. What a deal. Boy, do we have a halftime show for you coming up. If you love the pageantry of college football bowl games, you'll enjoy what's in store. The Bluebonnet Bowl Association has put together a musical extravaganza with more than 2,000 participants representing 25 states. They've planned a special show for you in tribute to the state's Texas 150-year celebration. Also, we'll hear from both the Falcon and Longhorn bands, which we have heard from, and a feature for you on the Texas quarterbacks, which we had. So stick around.
With a special kick routine to deep in the heart of Texas. These girls represent the best performance teams from 32 states across America. Ladies and gentlemen, clap your hands to Deep in the Heart of Texas. Now a New Year tribute to America as 2,000 students perform to John Philip Sousa's Stars and Stripes Forever. participating bands: Ira Ann, Fremont, Robinson, Sharpstown, Harrisonville, Goshen, Duncan, Newton, and Downers Grove South from Heritage Festivals, and the All-American performers from Marching Auxiliaries.
Tom Hammond, Gift Nielsen, Gary Gallup at the Bluebonnet Bowl. We're at halftime with the Air Force leading Texas 14-7 as you look at the skyline of downtown Houston from the Goodyear Blimp America. Well, all the scoring concentrated in the first quarter of play as Texas went on top first. Then Air Force scored 2 consecutive touchdowns for that 14-7 lead. Here are the look at the halftime statistics, and they're pretty close, Gift.
Yes, they are. Yards rushing, Air Force, of course, has the lead. But look at the yards passing. Bart Weiss throwing for over 1,000 yards this year. Really hasn't done a whole lot in the air. You can see the total offense. First downs are virtually even. Only one turnover in the first half, and time of possession is pretty close. So we've got a pretty close ball game, and it's indicative of the score, 14-7.
And we're going to take a look at scoring plays in the first half. Texas on its first possession had Stafford with a 34-yard scoring pass to his tight end Harris.
And he was throwing it downfield. He had the wind at his back. He threw a perfect strike to Harris. Harris was able to catch the ball and go into the end zone, and of course that put the Longhorns on the board first.
Extra point put him on top 7-0, but the Air Force came right back. Air Force, after a 47-yard run by Evans, got the pitch to Posesniak, who took it in from just a yard out. And the Air Force had tied it at 7-7.
And then, of course, it was Bart Weiss one more time going in from very short yardage, taking it all by himself, knowing that the Longhorns were looking for that outside play, decided he was going to do it by himself. And that's where we stand at halftime, Tom. 14-7, a lot of action coming your way.
Any changes that you see? They went through the second quarter. Giff as sort of a defensive struggle. The punters came into play, and no scoring at all in the second quarter. What sort of adjustments would you expect by these two teams for the second half?
I think Air Force has got to come out and throw the ball just a little bit more, and I think Texas has to open up their offense just a little bit more. They've been very conservative with their offensive style. Brett Stafford can make some things happen by getting outside and throwing those sideline routes to Hayes, and hopefully he'll look downfield one time and go for the big play.
Individually, Texas leading ball carrier in the first half was Hunter, who carried for 47 yards. The Air Force has Evans with that 48-yard run accounting for the bulk of his yardage. He's the leading ground gainer in the game. Evans of the Air Force was 61 net yards in the first half. The punting, as we said, has been a big thing today, especially punting with the wind. And two fine punters, the number 1 punter in the nation in Simon, the number 6 punter in Telchik. And so far today, Simon has won the battle. He's punted one more time. His average slightly greater than Telchik.
And a couple of times he got some breaks by having those punts drop and roll a little bit further. Here's the comparisons as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. Very few passes thrown in this football game. Stafford 3 of 5, Bart Weiss 1 of 4. I think you're going to see both teams throw that ball a little bit more the second half.
So only 9 passes attempted in the game by the two teams combined, and only 4 completions for the two teams. It has been a ground game throughout the first half. Before we start the second half of play, let's go to the field. Gary Gallup has Texas coach Fred Akers.
Thank you, Tom. We've got Texas coach Fred Akers with us. Fred, the Longhorns got out of the chute quickly, and then Air Force came back, got a couple of quick ones, and then it turned into a defensive battle in the first half.
Yeah, and game of mistakes. We've had too many middle errors, too many little penalties to keep drives going.
What about
and they had that big one that came up in there.
What about
30 minutes
adjustments now?
30 minutes to do exactly what we intended to do the first half.
Okay, Fred, good luck to you. Coach Fred Akers back up to the booth. Tom and Giff.
Well, Giff, he said 30 minutes to do exactly what they intended to the first half. They were a little short on the mental mistakes and key penalties. Some muffed balls, especially on the kickoff that the Air Force recovered and took it in for a touchdown. So if Texas could eliminate the mental mistakes, they certainly would have a chance to win the football game down here by only 7 points. You saw the attendance, over 50,000 here at Rice Stadium this afternoon for this Bluebonnet Bowl game. Well, later in this half, we'll be selecting a Pontiac most exciting player for the game. Pontiac will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of that player's school. Coming up, the Pontiac most exciting player of the Bluebonnet Bowl game. And we're pleased to join those of us watching the game on the American Forces Television Network throughout the world today. I hope you're enjoying the Bluebonnet Bowl contest as The Air Force has the lead at halftime in the Bluebonnet Bowl, and at last report, the Army was leading Illinois in the Peach Bowl. So the service academies that have seen a rejuvenation in their football fortunes over the last few years are leading in postseason contests, at least at the halftime stop.
And that's a good look at quarterback Brett Stafford for the Texas Longhorns. It's kind of interesting, Tom, that in the with the opening toss, the Longhorns won the toss and decided to defend a goal. In this situation, the Falcons decided to start the second half. They wanted to receive the ball. So we are going the way that all the teams have scored their touchdowns. Texas, of course, scoring their touchdown going from left to right. Air Force scoring both of their touchdowns going from right to left into the wind.
Beautiful spring-like day in the Houston area as you look at the downtown Houston skyline from the Goodyear Blimp America. Goodyear Blimps flying over major American sporting events for 60 years now. Here's the opening kickoff of the second half. Texas kicking it deep and through the Air Force end zone, so the Falcons will put it in play from their own 20. Jeff Ward really putting the foot to it, and with the wind at his back, there'll be no return of that one.
He just about put it through the upright.
He did. I don't know if he had dead aim on the goalpost or not, but it came close. So Air Force comes out with that wishbone attack. Texas a little inconsistent on defense. They stopped it very well at times, and then they were hurt with a couple of long gainers, the biggest one being the 48-yard run by Pat Evans that set up the Air Force's first touchdown of the game. 14-7, Air Force leads. Second half just now getting underway. Bart Weiss is the quarterback. Movement. Texas jumping off sides, but I believe one of the offensive linemen for the Air Force may have moved first. Let's see who they assess it against. Blake Bronner came across the line of scrimmage, but he was drawn off. Illegal procedure against Air Force.
Boy, and that is something you don't want to happen, but watch the reaction of Bronner. He sees that the Air Force guy, it looks like the big tight end, Brennan, just moved just a little bit. He had his hand down. You can't move when you've got your hand down, but Bronner just comes across the line of scrimmage, makes contact, and that was a very smart play on his part. Air Force not starting off in a very good situation going into the wind at first down and 15.
That's the third penalty for 20 yards against Air Force. Texas had to penalize 55 yards all in the first half, of course. Weiss on the option, gives it to Evans, and nothing there. Rocky Reed and Blake Bronner tackling in defensively, stopping Evans for no gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 15 for the Air Force.
And that's going to happen when you run the wishbone. I think that Weiss wanted to pull that ball out. I think if he had it to do all over again, he'd pull that ball out and work out towards the outside, work the option man. But in that situation, there are times when people are just going to be stopped.
Steve Allen in at a wide receiver for the Falcons. He's set wide to the left. 2nd and 15, Air Force. Weiss again hands it up the middle, and again there's nothing there but orange shirts. Evans is met by Espinoza. Give him a yard or two, but Texas was ready for that first option of the triple option and stopped him for a short gain. It'll be 3rd and long, 3rd and 13.
We see Texas, or we've seen him in the first half, come out and really put the stops to the triple option on a few occasions. And like you just mentioned, Tom, there are times when Air Force will make some adjustments on the sidelines or possibly at halftime and be able to move the ball. But so far, this second half, the Texas Longhorns are really putting a stop to it.
Neither team successful on 3rd down so far this game. Weiss raises straight up and calls a quick timeout. What did he see that he didn't like?
Well, I think he was probably trying to check force. It looked like he may have been coming to the left side, and that's where the strong safety was located for the Texas Longhorns. So he wanted to go back to the right side, didn't have time to check the play, so he called timeout.
We'll be back in a moment. Houston, 13:46 to play in the third quarter. Air Force leading Texas 14-7. The Falcons just taking a timeout on the 3rd and 13 situation, backed up to their own 17-yard line. Here's the play now. Wide receiver to either side, wishbone formation. Weiss gives to the first man through Evans. He's got the first down and more. Richard Peavy and Brett Hager made the stop, but not before Evans had picked up the first down as he broke clean at the line of scrimmage. What happened that time?
And that time it was a beautiful read on the part of Weiss. 2 previous times they were able to stuff Evans. That time he gave the ball to Evans. The hole opened up. The Longhorns were anticipating the Falcons going wide.
So Air Force picks up a first down. They put the ball at the 38. It was a 21-yard gain and a Falcon first down. Weiss again gives straight ahead to Evans. Evans gets 2 to the 40-yard line. He is stopped on the play by James McKinney and Brian Espinoza.
A lot of times, Tom, when you're defending against the wishbone, you're going to guess with it just a little bit. You're going to slant your tackles outside to help those outside pitches, and sometimes you're going to pinch inside. So it's really a guessing game with the defense, and Bart Weiss has to read that as far as the offensive quarterback.
Evans approaching 100 yards on the day, the leading ground gainer in the game thus far. 2nd and 7. On the option, Weiss pitches to the 45 as Jones knocked out of bounds at about the 47. Stephen Braggs knocked him out of bounds close to the first down.
And boy, I'll tell you what, Jones got a great block from Kelly Pittman. Pittman took out 2 Texas Longhorns. Watch the fake with Weiss coming down the line. He's going to make the Longhorns commit to him, and then he's going to pitch it. Watch 47 right in the left side of your screen. Knocked down one Longhorn, knocked another Longhorn off his path, and because of that, the Falcons are very close to a first down.
Close enough to measure, as a matter of fact, as the chains come across the field over to the sideline right in front of the Texas bench. Kelly Pittman with that nice block. He is a Houston native playing in front of the home folks today. And it is a first down for the Air Force.
You know, it's kind of interesting with these Air Force players. They're not thinking about going on and playing professional football. These guys are getting trained to do certain things. In fact, quarterback Bart Weiss wants to be that. He wants to command a 141 transport plane, whatever that means, I don't know, but that's what he wants to do. That's kind of interesting.
8th first down of the game for the Air Force Academy. Texas has picked up 6. Falcons driving from their own 48. Weiss tried to cut up field and met at the line of scrimmage and turned back. A lot of orange shirts there. No gain in the play. Allert and Senegal made the stop. It's amazing the way the wishbone works. Texas apparently has it under control, stopped 3 or 4 times in a row, and all of a sudden, pow, they break a quick one, and the Falcons, like their mascot, are explosive in the wishbone.
They really are, and that's the way the wishbone works. You can stop it, you can stop it, you can stop it, and then all of a sudden it has the ability to break a big one.
The Air Force mascot making the trip from Colorado Springs, as did the Texas mascot Bevo, the Longhorn. Weiss gives again to Evans. Evans straight ahead, gets 2. Rocky Reed, Blake Bronner, those defensive linemen of Texas, are getting a workout today on the triple option, making the stop. Reed is a native of Houston. It's amazing the number of Houston players that are in action today on both teams, but especially Texas. As Giff pointed out, 30 players on the 120-man Texas roster are natives of the Houston area. And of course, this game, doubly important. Not only does Fred Akers want to break that drought of postseason victories, they're only 2-6 under Akers, but he wants to impress the recruits in the Houston area. 3rd and 8 for the Air Force. Collision as Weiss tried to hand off, and Weiss falls down in the arms of James McKinney. A little mix-up there, goes for a loss of 2, and sets up a 4th down for Air Force.
Great defensive surge on the part of the Texas Longhorns. Watch McKinney, number 87, come down. He hits the fullback. The fullback runs into the quarterback. Ty Allert comes in to finish everything off. It was just a great individual effort on the part of James McKinney.
Here's Simon now in punt formation for the Air Force. Simon has averaged 48 yards on 6 punts this afternoon. Metcalf is deep. Against the wind, it's a short punt. Metcalf lets it bounce. It's going to roll dead at about the Texas 20, maybe down at the 19 before it finally stops. So again, good roll, and those explosive players have not been able to get much going today. Metcalf has let several bounce in front of him as you look at the Goodyear blimp America high above Rice Stadium here in Houston.
You know, one of the things that Fisher DeBerry said right before he went in at halftime, he said, our offense has got to go out there and control the ball just a little bit. We can't let our defensive players stay out there that long. But that's kind of the situation the Air Force offense has been able to, or is doing to the defense. They're not staying out on the field quite as long as Coach DeBerry wants them to.
33-yard punt, first down for Texas. Hunter got the call, tripped up behind the line of scrimmage, and stopped short for a loss on the play. Terry Mackey getting good penetration. Mackey, of course, was an All-American wrestler in high school and is the defending heavyweight champion in the Western Athletic Conference. 6'2", 229 pounds, a junior from Libby, Montana, the leading tackler in the last 2 years for the Falcons.
And that was a great shot of Mackey just diving through and making the stop.
2nd and 10 here, high formation Longhorn. Hunter across the 20 to the 23, 5-yard gain. It'll set up 3rd and long. Mackey and Chandler, inside linebackers, making the stop for the Air Force. I told you Mackey the leading tackler. Chandler is the second leading tackler. 91 stops coming into today's game. Second team all-WAC performer.
Kind of interesting with Mackey. He has 137 total tackles coming into this game, and he had the very same total last year. So the guy has really been a force inside for Air Force.
3rd and 7 Longhorns. Ball at their own 23. Like blitz coming. Stafford rolls right. He's got running room. He tucks under. To the 40. Midfield, he's got a blocker. One man to beat. Out of bounds inside the 30 of the Air Force. We saw the running ability of Brett Stafford as he broke a long one. Juan Wilson saved the touchdown for the Air Force.
And there's the big playability of Brett Stafford, just ad-libbing. The Falcons were coming on some sort of a blitz. Stafford was able to get outside, and I'll tell you what, number 19, Everett Gay, really put a block on a defensive player for Air Force. Watch Stafford as he gets outside. He's going down the sidelines. Now, if you can see it, it'll be in the left-hand side of your picture. Everett Gay coming across. Oh, you can see the player just barely going out of the picture right there. But he got some help as Stafford went all the way down to about the 25-yard line. Big play on his part.
52-yard run for Stafford. They list him as a junior, but football-wise, eligibility-wise, he's only a sophomore from Belton, Texas. He gained 276 yards running this year. And, of course, passed for over 900 yards. Pat Malachowski, outside linebacker for the Air Force Falcons, shaken up on the play, but is leaving the field under his own power right now.
Malachowski was coming over to help out, and he had both of his eyes right on Stafford, and Everett Gay came back on a crackback type of a block, and it was lights out.
Kevin Martin comes in to place Malachowski. Martin, 6'3", 207 pounds, a junior from Denver. Martin wears number 85 as you saw Malachowski go to the sideline. Texas from the 25 of Air Force, 1st and 10. Stafford gives it to Hunter. Hunter gets 3 yards. Down to about the 22-yard line. There's Terry Mackey again making the hit. Mike Chandler right alongside to help out.
And just talking with head coach Fred Akers this week about Brett Stafford, these are the kind of plays that we just saw that Brett Stafford has made all year to kind of solidify his position as the number 1 quarterback. Just ad-lib type of plays, and they always turn out to be big.
Hunter again tries the center of the line. He's inside the 20 down to the 19-yard line. 3 yards on that gain. It'll set up a 3rd down situation for the Longhorns. Texas that time going with 2 tight ends, Harris and McCray, as they try the power formation.
And that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to put those big guys that they've got on that offensive line, Chilton, Chester, Jaton, Stewart, and Ergel, and they're just trying to say, here we are, we're going to line up, you try and stop us.
Edwin Simmons into the game for the Longhorns. They've got 3rd and 3 from the Air Force 18. Stafford to the 5-yard line and to the 10-yard line, and a Longhorn 1st down. A.J. Scott made the stop as Stafford kept it and showed us a little option run of his own.
And Stafford had the guy out there he could pitch to, but he saw a little running lane. He was looking for the 1st down markers. He went right through the left side of the line. He had that opportunity. Watch the way he just takes that ball, ducks his head, and goes all the way down to the 10-yard line. The Longhorns have it, 1st and 10. They've got to score a touchdown. They can't get a 1st down, I don't believe.
1st down's all even now at 8 apiece. Patrick McFarland into the game for the Longhorns. Lined up as the fullback. Stafford still got it. Throws for the end zone. Knocked down by Air Force. Good defensive play by Scott Thomas, the free safety, as Harris, the intended receiver, was behind him, but Thomas made a diving stab to knock it away.
And it's kind of interesting as Stafford comes out here that Thomas would come across and help his buddy Dwan Wilson. Wilson was covering the receiver, but it's interesting because these two guys were in survival training together. Football games aren't very difficult when you go to survival training, and these two guys had to escape in this survival situation, and they came to, they became close friends, and they really help each other out, not only on the field, but off the field.
2nd and 10. Simmons gets down to about the 7-yard line, a 3-yard gain. It's going to be 3rd and 7 for the Longhorns. In this situation, they take Patrick McFarland, who is listed as a tight end, 6'3", 232, and line him up at fullback, as they have a wing formation, really, out of the I. They have a fullback, a wing back, and a tailback.
And Brett Stafford looking over to the sidelines. Danny Akers, the coach's son, is signaling the plays in. Look for Stafford to get himself some kind of a running opportunity here.
Simmons is the tailback in the formation on 3rd and 7. Quarterback. Stafford tries to cut it up, gets only to about the 6-yard line where he stopped. Stafford tried to roll back against the flow, but there was nothing there. Terry Mackey pounded him to the artificial turf, and on 4th down, Texas will attempt a field goal.
And Jeff Ward comes into the game. This guy has hit 19 out of 24 field goals. He will be kicking it from about the 19.5-yard line, which means it'll be about a 29.5-yard field goal. And from that distance, he's 2 for 2 so far this year.
His 19 field goals this year tied a Southwest Conference record. Here's Ward's kick. And it's good. So Texas drives down the field and gets a field goal off the foot of Jeff Ward to narrow it to a 4-point lead. Air Force leads in the Bluebonnet Bowl. We'll be back.
Give me a light. No. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer,
Thanks.
you never know what you'll get.
Nah, give me a light. No, Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
At McDonnell Douglas, we send sound waves through water to test airplane parts. And by automating the process, we do it 10 times faster. Room to land used to be a problem for big airplanes. Our idea, blow engine exhaust over wing flaps for a slower approach so even our big C-17 can land on very short runways. We're creating breakthroughs in aviation, space, and information systems. We're McDonnell Douglas.
Since Highland Appliance opened in 1933, we've sold over 8 million appliances, TVs, stereos, and more. Enough to go around the world. Maybe it's because we sell only the best brand names, or because we guarantee our low prices, or because we've got our own service department, the best anywhere. Whatever the reason, we've sold enough to go around the world, and at this rate, we'll soon go around twice.
Twice?
Highland. Everything you never expected from an appliance store. At the Bluebonnet Bowl in Houston, Texas, the Air Force leads Texas 14-10. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Lorimar Sports Network.
This is KTVV, TV 36 in Austin.
Jeff Ward hitting a 24-yard field goal to pull Texas within 4. Here's the kick, and
no problem.
Oh, hum. Just another one.
Just another day at the office. The hold was perfect. The laces were straight ahead. Danny Akers getting that ball down on the ground.
The Texas scoring drive covered 74 yards in 10 plays. It consumed 4 minutes, 21 seconds, and the 24-yard field goal by Ward makes it a 14-10 Air Force lead.
Of course, Brett Stafford ad-libbing just a little bit, getting the big play for the Longhorns on that drive.
Well, Tony Tillman is going to have to hold the ball on the tee again for Jeff Ward as he will kick it off. Pittman and Thomas are deep for the Air Force. Here's the kick by Ward. And Thomas takes it out of the end zone for a touchback. Well, Ward's kickoffs have certainly been strong today. When he's kicked with the wind, he's banged it out of the end zone each time.
In fact, we've seen Thomas just move back. He starts about 8 yards deep in the end zone now, has to move back until he comes to the end of the end zone. But that's how strong Ward's leg is without the wind. With the wind, I mean, this guy can put it out of orbit.
And it's nullified a pretty good Air Force weapon because Thomas has averaged nearly 30 yards per kickoff return. Air Force has the ball 1st and 10 from the Falcon 20-yard line. 6:19 third quarter, 4-point lead Air Force. Evans stumbles straight ahead, gets 5 yards before Peavy covers him at the 25-yard line.
And that was just a quick hitter one more time to Pat Evans. In fact, Bart Weiss will take that ball from the center, and he'll just kind of clear himself just a little bit as Evans takes that ball and goes right up over the center.
11th time today that Evans has carried the ball. He has 94 yards rushing. 2nd and 4 for the Falcons. He did 6 yards actually on the play, so 95 on the day for Evans. In on the option. Weiss cuts upfield, is tripped down from behind by McKinney. Shoestring tackle for no gain. James McKinney with a diving stop.
Another outstanding play by McKinney. Coming from the far sideline, he came all the way around with great pursuit, was able to grab Bart Weiss by the shoes. Now watch him as Weiss comes out. It looks like he's got an area to run in, but here comes McKinney, number 87 from the offside, making a great play. Air Force now comes up in a 3rd and 3 situation.
Clock ticks down for the 5-minute mark, 3rd quarter. Weiss on the straight handoff, up to the 30-yard line and close to the first down is Kelly Pittman. Depends on where they mark it. It will be close. Rocky Reed made the tackle for Texas. Timeout to measure, I believe.
In that situation, Tom, you want to hope that the officials are on your side. The official grabbed the ball and he kind of moved it back just a little bit. Of course, the Air Force players are down there saying, now don't do it that much. Just kind of keep it up there a little bit. But it's going to be awful close. If they got it, they just got it by a hair.
Nose of the football is just shy of the 30, as you see, and they'll stretch the chain out. The official blocking the view, but that's a good shot. His foot's in the way. They missed it by an inch or so.
Fisher DeBerry on the far sideline is giving the official over there a little earful, saying, I think my guy had it, and you guys moved it back just a little bit. Interesting decision right now. He's only got about an inch to go for a first down. I would anticipate at this time in the game, you've got to kick it. Even though it's tempting, you've got to kick it.
So on 4th and an inch at his own 30-yard line, Fisher DeBerry elects to. So far, no decision. Weiss is still in there. Here comes the punt team.
Well, I think this is wise. He's got the lead. He's got a 4-point lead. You just don't want to risk anything happening as far as giving the ball to the Texas Longhorns down in this kind of field position, especially with the wind at their back. You want to try and kick it out of there, and of course he's hoping that Mark Simon can really put something on this kick.
Simon, the nation's leading punter, averaging 46 yards a kick today. Metcalf is deep. This is a boomer off the foot of Simon. Chases Metcalf back. He makes an over-the-shoulder grab all the way back to his 15. Cuts back upfield, gets to the 22, where he's slammed to the turf by several white-shirted Air Force special team members. A 50-yard punt against the wind by Simon. It'll be Texas's ball when we come back. They trail by 4.
54-yard kick.
Some of the past action from Bluebonnet Bowls. This is the 27th annual Bluebonnet Bowl Classic. Out of the Astrodome now and back outdoors at Rice Stadium, and what a perfect day for football or anything for that matter.
You couldn't ask for anything better. The beautiful downtown skyline of the Houston area. We've got a lot of people here that are excited about a football game. We got two teams that really want to win. You can't ask for anything more than that.
And just enough wind to lend a little excitement and strategy to the game this afternoon. Texas with the wind in its favor for the final 4 minutes of the 3rd quarter. They go on the pass, and it's intercepted through the arms of the intended receiver and picked off by Tom Rotello. Rotello up the sideline, knocked out of bounds shy of the 20-yard line. The 9th interception this season for Tom Rotello.
And Rotello really showing quick reactions. That ball hit a Texas player, deflected off him, and then Rotello showing those quick reflexes was able to gather it in.
Well, it was off the hands of Gay. As you watch it again, Rotello with a 9th interception. That's an Air Force record.
And Stafford comes off a play-action pass. He throws it downfield. Gay looks like he's got a hand on it. He does that, but then watch the deflection, and then all of a sudden Rotello's got it. Watch how he goes down the sidelines using his blockers. The Air Force players really giving him some protection, and Air Force with a big break.
Simmons knocked him out of bounds. 1st and 10 Air Force, 23 of Texas. Weiss cuts upfield, evades one tackler, pounds inside the 20 for a 4-yard gain. Ty Allert and Chris Dudebon made the stop. Watch the interception again.
Watch the quick reflections now. It's going to go right through Gay's hands. The ball is tipped momentarily, and watch the reflection, or the reflexes of Rotello. He grabs that ball kind of out of midair, just kind of gathers it in, then he picks up some blockers and returns it all the way down to about the 23-yard line where Air Force is driving.
Evans, touchdown. 19-yard touchdown run by Pat Evans.
And Evans took that thing from Bart Weiss, Tom. He went right up the center. He broke a couple of tackles. Rocky Reed had a shot of him. and he had another Texas player that was coming from behind him who had a shot at him, but with the strength in his legs, he just kind of ran right up the center, was able to keep his balance. It was Senegal that had a shot at him, and he goes all the way in for a touchdown.
Looked like Weiss almost missed the handoff. He had to reach way forward to get the ball to Evans, who was already pounding through the hole, but he got the ball and took it in for the touchdown. Here's Ruby to add the extra point. And it's good. Ruby has hit 60 extra points in a row.
You know, he has never missed an extra point, and you noticed his reaction as soon as he kicked it. He just kind of gave one little clap by saying, hey, listen, this is what I've been doing 60 straight times. I haven't missed yet. There's no use for me trying to miss now.
After the interception by Rotello, the Air Force takes it 23 yards in 2 plays. It took him only 37 seconds as Evans carried it in from 19 yards out, and the Air Force Academy goes up 21-10 on Texas with 3:35 remaining in the third quarter. Let's take a look again at that touchdown run by Pat Evans, the junior out of Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Rocky Reed had a little bit of a shot at him. Here goes Evans. Senegal comes across, but the strength in Evans' legs, he just keeps driving those legs, going right for the touchdown, and nobody is about to stop him as he goes in and he gives the Air Force Academy Falcons a little bit more lead.
Evans had a preseason knee injury that kept him out of the first 2 games, but he has gained over 1,500 yards in his Air Force career and stands number 8 on the all-time Air Force rushing list, and is their 4th leading rusher this season, but has been the big star in the game for the Air Force thus far. Former high school All-American out of Vicksburg, Mississippi, and Fisher DeBerry's team has taken that 21-10 lead. Evans played junior varsity ball as a freshman. As a sophomore, he gained over 1,000 yards, one of only 3 Air Force players to gain over 1,000. And though hampered by the injury earlier this season, has shown us his stuff here in the Bluebonnet Bowl.
Kind of interesting, too, Tom, that all of Air Force's touchdowns have come going into the wind.
That is unusual. Here's the kick by Ruby. Try to ground it and perhaps pick up the roll, but Texas covers it successfully this time, and they bring it up to the 40-yard line. Mike January picked it up and brought it to the Texas 40, where the Longhorns will take over 1st and 10. Well, Texas had the momentum for a while. They had driven down the field and picked up the field goal, but the interception turned that around, and the Air Force able to capitalize and take now an 11-point lead. Stafford on the afternoon has hit 3 of 7 passes for 1 touchdown. Just had the 1 interception a moment ago, only 32 yards in the air for Texas. Stafford on the handoff, gives it to Simmons. Trips forward across the 45 up to the 47. Scott Thomas made the stop. Texas has used Hunter, Simmons, and Metcalf at that tailback spot today.
And if you went down and stood next to Edwin Simmons, you would not believe your eyes. This guy is about 6'4". He's built just beautiful for an athlete. He can really run, he can really play, but as you mentioned at the top of the show, he's had 3 knee operations and was asked to quit playing football, but he's back, he's got determination. Here he goes again.
Pins away from 1 tackler, but has stopped at the 49-yard line, short of the 1st down. Chuck Kinnaman made the stop, the senior out of Tempe, Arizona for the Air Force.
Simmons comes into this game with a 4.3-yard average. He scored 1 TD, carried the ball 86 times for 369 yards.
3rd and 2 now for the Texas Longhorns with 2.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. And Air Force on top, 21-10. We've got McCray on a wing, Hunter and Norris, the running backs, split behind Stafford. The handoff is to Norris. He's got the 1st down. He's tripped up and falls forward to the 30. Norris turning on that great speed. Rotello just got a hand on the ankle to stop him at about the 30.
I'll tell you what, if Rotello wouldn't have got a hand on him, I think Norris would have gone all the way for a touchdown. All the Texas Longhorns have a hat on everybody else. Norris was going all the way for a score. It would have been awful close of him scoring if Rotello hadn't have got him. But watch the line surge. Everybody is blocking everybody. And that time it was Rotello just with the arm swipe to bring Norris down. He's only a freshman. He runs a 10.45, 100 meters. The guy can fly.
He got 21 yards on that one. Here's Norris carrying for 4 yards as Texas continues to grind it out on the ground. John Ziegler made the stop for the Falcons. 1:45 on the clock, third quarter.
And this is a big series for Texas because they are going into the wind. There's only a minute, or going with the wind. There's only 1:35 left to go in the third quarter. And there's one of my old teammates. Earl Campbell, give that guy the ball. He'll take it somewhere, I guarantee it.
The Tyler Rose now playing for the New Orleans Saints. Had so many great years here with the Houston Oilers. Stafford on the rollout. Going to run it. Runs into his own man. Falls across the 25 to the 24-yard line. Mike Chandler there to make the stop. Only a 2-yard gain. It'll set up a third down situation for the Longhorns. Third and about 4.
Stafford took that ball. It was a sprint out pass, which gives him the opportunity to run, and he can make a lot of things happen when he tucks the ball and runs with it. But he was looking for William Gay, who was running a post pattern. The free safety for Air Force, Scott Thomas, was in the middle, and it was a very wise decision that Stafford tuck that ball and try and get as much as he could.
Key third down play here. Handoff. Fighting to the 20, and a first down run for the Air Force was Norris. Excuse me, it was Simmons. Simmons on the carry, picked up the first down. Mackey and Thomas combining for the tackle, but not until the Longhorns had their 10th first down of the game.
Once again, excellent blocking up front. Good surge by the offensive line, led by Chilton, Jaton, Chester. They all were blocking and taking care of their responsibilities, allowing Simmons to get that first down.
24 seconds and counting in the third quarter. High formation in the backfield. Simmons, the tailback, gets the handoff. Tries right side and falls forward inside the 15. 6-yard gain for Simmons. Terry Mackey again with a tackle for the Air Force.
You know, one of the nice things as a quarterback is to go up underneath the center and have a guy like Gene Chilton as your center as we watch Edwin Simmons going with that ball. He can just fall forward for 3 yards, but Chilton is a big guy. Hits it at about 313 coming into the season, and he lost a bunch of pounds. He came into the season this year at 274, but the guy is a big one. And when you're a quarterback, you want to have that big guy in front of you.
And the third quarter has come to an end at the Bluebonnet Bowl. We've got timeout at Rice Stadium in Houston with the Air Force leading Texas 21-10. We'll be back with the fourth quarter in just a moment.
Now,
football coach, aren't they?
Yes, and I think maybe by the week's end they might have one.
2nd and 4 for Texas. The ball at the Air Force 14. Stafford hands to Simmons. He's hit right at the line of scrimmage. He falls forward to about the 13, give him a 1-yard gain. Air Force had that one smelled out from the start. Terry Mackey right there again to plug up the hole.
It didn't look like it was a very good mesh. In fact, it looked like there was a possibility the Longhorns might fumble on that particular play. Stafford coming back and trying to find Simmons, and it looked like Simmons didn't really get a good grasp of the ball, and I think a lot of it is due to the fact that Air Force was coming in the gaps again.
Mackey has made 14 tackles today. Texas has converted on third down 4 of 5 times. It's 3rd and 4 here. Stafford has his man, then knocked away at the last moment by Scott Thomas. Incomplete pass. It brings up a 4th down. Intended for Tim McCray and knocked away by Thomas. So Texas fails to convert on that 3rd down.
The only thing you can say about Scott Thomas is he's just an All-American. I mean, this guy wanted to go to the University of Texas. He had a scholarship offer to go to the University of Texas. It came down to the day before he was about ready to sign, and Texas withdrew that scholarship. You don't think this game means a little bit to Scott Thomas?
Here's Scott Thomas.
Grew up in San Antonio.
31-yard field goal attempt coming up by Jeff Ward. 1 for 1 on field goals this afternoon from 31. Ward's kick is good. So Texas cuts 3 points off the Air Force lead. Timeout at the Bluebonnet Bowl. 14-14 to play in the 27th Bluebonnet Classic. Score Air Force 21, Texas 13.
Start.
Before winter trouble strikes, give your gas an estimate.
Order with the wind, 1 shy of the Bluebonnet Bowl record. Before we have Texas offensive play, let's go to the sideline where Gary Gallup has Earl Campbell.
Thank you, Tom. We do have Earl Campbell, an interested spectator. What about those Horns today, Earl?
Well, I don't know. I think they look pretty good. I'm enjoying the ball game. I think it's two pretty good colleges competing against each other.
You still make your home here in Houston, I see.
Oh, sure. To me, there's no place like Texas.
All right, let's go back up to the booth and Tom.
Here's Texas on first down. Stafford has a blocker in front. Can't get much going. Falls forward perhaps a yard. We'll mark it maybe no gain on the play. Was that a busted play, or Stafford just looking for running room?
I think he wanted to keep that ball and try and get outside. John Ziegler, defensive tackle for Air Force, really did a good job as far as taking care of his responsibilities. Everybody else went inside, but Ziegler stayed outside and forced that team back inside, or forced Stafford back inside. And there was a possibility Stafford could have had a little bit bigger play.
Darren Norris comes off the field a little shaken up, as replaced in the lineup by Peter Pope. Pope, 36, is 5'11", 212 pounds, from Claiborne, Texas. It'll be 2nd and 9 as they gave Stafford a 1-yard gain on the play. The ball at the 44 of the Longhorns. Air Force leads 21-13. 11 minutes to play in the Bluebonnet Bowl. Play action pass. Complete for the first down. William Harris, who had a touchdown reception earlier, totes this one almost to the Air Force 40, where Scott Thomas drives him out of bounds.
And that time it was a beautiful play-action fake on the part of Stafford. I felt like going into the game would see more plays like this, but Stafford can throw it on the run. He threw it just a little bit behind Harris, but Harris reached back there, grabbed it, and this guy doesn't want to go down. He tried to stay on his feet. Watch the play fake to Simmons as Stafford goes to the right, throws it downfield. Harris is right there. And I would anticipate Texas doing a little bit more of this.
15-yard gain and a first down at the Air Force 41. Simmons gets the corner, out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. Juan Wilson took him out after a 7-yard gain.
And that time you saw the strength and the speed of Simmons as he went inside. Nothing was open inside, so he bounced out towards the outside and was able really to outrun everybody. And then watch the strength as he lowers his head. Tries to get outside. He does do that. And then watch the strength in those arms and in those legs as he takes on a couple of Air Force defensive players and goes out of bounds, but he doesn't go down.
Give him 9 yards and make it 2nd and 1. Simmons met at the line of scrimmage, bounces off one tackler, and then falls inside the 30 down to about the 28-yard line, enough for the Texas first down. Ziegler met him at the line of scrimmage. He bounced off, got first down yardage before Ty Hankemer finally made the stop.
And this is just great individual effort on the part of Edwin Simmons. He gets stopped right there by 4 Air Force players, bounces out to the outside. He knows what he has to do to get that first down and lunges forward to pick up the first down. The Falcons have it 1st and 10 as we watch Simmons one more time coming to the outside. All this guy has to do is just kind of fall down, and he gets about 4 yards. He's a big boy.
Longhorn first down at the 28 of Air Force. Sets up a screen to Simmons. Gets away from one man, but then is taken down. It's going to be a loss on the play. As that one was ill-conceived from the outset. They never did seem to have their rhythm. It goes for a 4-yard loss.
But what they were trying to do, Tom, is they were trying to set up a screen back to the right. Chilton was out there, but he can't block until the receiver has the ball. And the Air Force player, the defensive player that was out there, kind of stayed right in his position, and he wouldn't let Chilton block him. Those are the kind of plays that, boy, if they work, they look great. If they don't, you might as well just take them out, feed them to the dog.
That one didn't, and it's 2nd and 13.
The dog's full.
Stafford again, play action pass. Across the middle, complete. Again, it's Harris, the tight end, who takes it to the 15-yard line. A.J. Scott had pretty good coverage, but Harris takes it for a Longhorn first down and a 16-yard gain.
And another play-action pass. We were thinking that the Longhorns were going to do a little bit more of this, but look at the time he's got as Stafford sets up, and he finds his big tight end coming across the center. This is what Texas needs to do. They can't just count on that I-formation running game. They need to run that play-action pass, and both times that they've done that in this drive, they've been very successful.
That was a 13-yard gain, first down at the 15. Norris is in at a running back spot as Pope goes out. And an official's timeout here.
Well, Stafford came back and he talked to the official, said, I don't like what I see over on that side. The official stopped the clock, and it looks like the Longhorns are going to be able to re-huddle.
Texas with 7 first downs this half to 4 for the Air Force. But the Air Force maintains the lead on the scoreboard, 21-13. 9 minutes, 10 seconds on the clock. Texas with the ball at the 15 of the Falcons.
Good mixture on this series of both run and pass.
Norris is the fullback. Simmons is the tailback in the I formation. Pitch to Simmons. Stacked up after a 2-yard gain. They had blockers in front, but the Air Force just playing tough up on the front of the defensive line.
And one of the things that Fisher DeBerry loves, he loves gang tackling. Watch how many Air Force Academy Falcons are around this ball by the time everything gets over with. If you're not around the ball and you're a member of the Air Force team, you don't want to watch the films next week, if they do in fact watch films, because that's what Fisher DeBerry likes to do. He likes to have that gang tackling.
Officially a 2-yard gain. It's 2nd and 8. Simmons fouls down to the 10. Give him 3 yards and bring up a 3rd down for Texas.
A very interesting situation right now for Longhorn head coach Fred Akers. I would anticipate that he will get Brett Stafford outside with the ability to both run and throw. In this situation, you want to have that, especially if you've got a quarterback like Stafford that can make things happen by just going outside and ad-libbing. That's what he does the best. Let's see what he does.
Metcalf is in at tailback, replacing Simmons. 3rd and 6. Stafford for the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Everett Gay. With A.J. Scott defending on the play, it's 4th down.
That was kind of interesting because I think the ball could have been intended for Everett Gay, and it also could have been intended for William Harris, the big tight end. Stafford coming back. He's got 2 receivers over there. Harris is there. Gay is there. Harris knocks it down. Gay may have had a chance for it, but nothing happened as far as scoring a touchdown. We're going to see Jeff Ward again.
Jeff Ward will try it from 28 yards. He's 2 for 2 in field goals this afternoon. It's good. Off the hold from Danny Akers, Jeff Ward hits his 3rd field goal of the afternoon, and Texas continues to chip away at that Air Force lead. 7:34 remaining in the Bluebonnet Bowl. Timeout. Air Force leads 21-16. We're here in Houston for the Bluebonnet Bowl. We'd like to thank President Jack Busick of the Bluebonnet Bowl Association and his staff for their fine hospitality. We'd also like to thank the sports information staffs of both schools. At Texas, Bill Little, Doug Smith, Steve Ross, and Debbie Havas. And at Air Force, Dave Kellogg, Sergeant Bill Phillips, and Rick Crandall. Thanks to all of them who made our stay here in Houston so enjoyable. And they put on a good football game for us as well. Ward has just set a Bluebonnet Bowl record with his 3rd field goal of the afternoon, and he's set to kick it off now for Texas with 7:34 on the clock and a 5-point lead for the Falcons of the Air Force.
You know, an interesting situation that the Longhorns have been able to do as far as stopping the wishbone, and especially taking Bart Weiss from his passing game. Bart Weiss, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we've mentioned it throughout the show, that he is one of 3 players in NCAA history to be able to throw the ball for over 1,000 yards and run the ball for over 1,000 yards. But the Longhorns have completely taken away the passing game, and a lot of credit has to go to Tony Tillman. He's been on Carpenter on the outside, man for man, most of the afternoon, and really cut off those passing lanes that Bart Weiss usually likes to hit. In this situation, though, the Falcons are going to have to come out here and get some blocking schemes going to get that wishbone back in shape.
Here's the kick by Ward, taken by Pittman. He's banged to the turf shy of the 30-yard line. Vicious hit that time by the Texas special team unit, but a 24-yard return by Pittman. That was Mike Jackson that made the stop on Pittman and pounded him backwards. Watch this hit.
I mean to tell you, Kelly Pittman is trying to run it up in there, and watch this hit by Jackson as he comes across and just about knocks his head off. Look at this. Oh, what a hit by Jackson.
First down for the Air Force. The ball at the 29-yard line of the Falcons. They lead 21-16. Weiss, the pass. Knocked down at the last moment. Ty Allert, the linebacker, way downfield in coverage, knocked the ball away, had a chance to intercept it, but couldn't hold it as the Air Force goes to the air for the first time in the second half.
And you have to give some credit to Kelly Pittman. The play fake did not fake the Longhorns out, and Pittman is the one that really broke this up. Allert looks like he's got the ball, and it's Pittman that reaches in there and knocks the ball down. And if you're a quarterback, you love your receivers to do that. If you throw a pass that maybe you want back, you want that receiver to knock it out of the defender's hand, and that's what Pittman did.
It's 2nd and 10 for the Air Force. Texas has stopped the triple option here in the second half for the most part. Espinoza, Kip Cooper making the stop for the Longhorns.
And you really have to give defensive coordinator Kevin McWilliams some credit. He is the new head football coach at Texas Tech, but he decided he wanted to come back here and coach this team in this final bowl. But he will be moving on to Texas Tech as their new head football coach. He's taking defensive tackle coach John Mice with him to Tech.
3rd and 9 Falcons. Jones, flag down as he's stacked up at the 35-yard line. 5-yard gain and shy of the first down. Senegal with help from Reed making the stop. Let's check the penalty.
And Chris. A gain of 4 on the play. There's a penalty.
It's a holding call against the Air Force. Texas, we would assume, will decline it and set up a 4th down.
I think that's probably what they'll want to do. It was just a little counter play going back to the left side. And I'll tell you what, Tom, I think you could feel that one from up here. There's some vicious hitting going on the field right now.
The penalty is declined. It's 4th down. It'll bring Simon on, and with his 10th punt of the afternoon, he will set a Blue Bonnet Bowl record. His last punt covered 62 yards, just 1 short of the Blue Bonnet Bowl record. And his average now is over 49 yards a kick. If that holds up, that will be a Blue Bonnet Bowl record.
And the drama is building right now. We've got 6 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in this football game. The Longhorns getting that ball back.
Simon's punt takes a good bounce for the Air Force all the way down inside the 15-yard line. Well, they've neutralized Metcalf as a returner, and Simon with a good roll gets another fantastic punt. This one 52 yards. Texas has the ball when we come back. Hotel Travis Center in Houston, located adjacent to the Texas Medical Center and Rice University in the professional, educational, and cultural hub of Houston. Our thanks to all the folks at the Wyndham Hotel for their hospitality during our stay here in Houston. Well, the Texas Longhorns have 6 minutes and 18 seconds. They're 87 yards away from a go-ahead touchdown. This could be the game on this drive gift, as the Longhorns, with Bevo standing on the sideline, have certainly controlled the game in the second half, but have been unable to get a touchdown. They've had to settle for field goals, but right now, if they're able to move the ball, they could perhaps win the game with this drive. Stafford hands off to his tailback. Simmons bounces outside, stiff arms one player, and after all that running, gets a 4-yard gain. A.J. Scott and Dwan Wilson, the roverback and the cornerback respectively, put him out of bounds.
And you talk about A.J. Scott. A.J. Scott and J.P. Scott have already graduated from the Air Force Academy and are now second lieutenants. That means everybody, every time they pass him, everybody on the football team has to salute him.
Yes, sir. They have to call him sir, I guess, in the locker room as well.
You have to say, yes, sir. Boy, that'd be tough to have a teammate that you'd have to say that to, wouldn't it be?
Second down for the Longhorns at Texas. And about 5 yards to go for the first down. Again, they go to Simmons, and the tailback pounds across the 20. He's to the 21-yard line, only about a 2-yard gain. It'll bring up a 3rd down for Texas. Hennings, from a defensive tackle spot, the 4th leading tackler on the Falcon squad, made the hit that time. On 3rd down conversions this afternoon, Texas has converted 5 times out of 14 attempts.
And Coach Fred Akers, coming into the ball game, Tom, said he wanted to give Edwin Simmons a lot of playing time. Edwin Simmons, of course, we've talked about him throughout the course of the telecast, has had some problems. He was a great running back coming into Texas. They had great expectations for what he was going to accomplish. He had 3 knee operations. He was asked by the doctors to quit football, but the guy would not quit. He would not give up. He kept battling it. He kept coming back. And now Edwin Simmons is back to just about full strength. He has lost a little bit of a step, but this guy really has a big heart.
Texas has called a timeout, stopping the clock with 5:52 to go, and they're facing a 3rd and 2 situation. Well, the executive producer of the Lorimar Sports Network is Keith Samples. Coordinating producer Jimmy Rayburn. Robert Steinfeld produced today's contest, and the director was Dave Burchett. Associate producers Glenn Gergiolo, Dave Olmstead, John Humphrey, and Mark Solomon. The technical director, Stacy Smith. Mobile facilities provided by John Crow Productions, and the blimp provided by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And we'd like to thank all the folks that made our telecast possible here at Rice Stadium today. Special thanks to those that have helped us here in the booth. Greg Beisteline on stats, David Little spotting for Texas, and Bill Phillips spotting for the Air Force. 3rd and 2, Longhorns. Hunter gets the call, and he gets up, I believe, short of the first down. Ziegler made the stop. He did not quite get enough for the first down. It's going to be 4th down for the Longhorns and about 1.5 yards to go. And the punt team comes on the field with 5:30 on the clock.
Last time the punting team came on the field, Telchik just really hit a beautiful punt, and the Longhorns need him to do that right now. The Longhorns have been able to shut down the wishbone attack of the Falcons, and that's exactly what they need to do. They need to get this good punt, and then they need to come out and shut that down, get the ball back. There's still time to win this football game.
They didn't have enough players on the field. They've got players running on and off, and the play clock is down to 1 second. They get it off. Telchik with the boot. Thomas calls for a fair catch and takes it at the 45-yard line. Flag down on the play. It may have been an illegal touch by Texas, and that would put Air Force in great field position. It is interference against Texas.
That's exactly what happened. It was Terry Steelhammer that came down. Thomas had his arm up, signaling for the fair catch, and I think he just bumped Thomas as he went past. Watch the little contact right there, but it was kind of touchy. I'm not sure about that. Steelhammer came through. It looked like he was trying to get out of the way just a little bit, and Thomas, with the wind blowing the ball, was coming back towards the left. Let's watch it from the end zone. I'm not sure if that was a penalty.
That's a little touchy. Look at Thomas taunting the man there, too. That's unusual to see an Air Force man point the finger and taunt. It was a 5-yard step off against Texas from the 49. Here's Air Force. Evans gets the call. 60 yards in penalties against Texas. That was their first penalty of the second half. Dulabon made the stop for Texas.
And here is where the wishbone can really come into play as far as ball control. If you can keep that ball on the ground, not go out of bounds, not throw passes, you can run some time off the clock, but you've got to get those first downs. That's exactly what Fisher DeBerry wants to happen right now.
Telchik only got off a 33-yard punt that time. His average down to 44. Simon has averaged 49 a kick. Hunter's a big weapon today. Good penetration that time. Just about beating the play was Britt Hager, the linebacker, who came on a blitz, got right in Weiss's path and took him to the turf.
What a play by Hager as he comes right up the middle in a blitzing situation. Look at him. He grabs both players. Makes the play all by himself. What a play by the middle linebacker for Texas, Britt Hager.
3rd down, 8 yards to go for Air Force. The ball at the 49-yard line of Texas. This afternoon, Air Force has converted only 2 third-down situations in 12 tries. Reverse. Weiss still has it. Stopped for a loss on the play. Britt Hager again with James McKinney helping out. Stopped Weiss for a loss of 3 yards. Well, they faked the reverse. Weiss kept it, and Texas not fooled at all.
And Texas was not fooled at all. Watch Weiss as he takes the option. This is just a quick put into the fullback's tummy, and then he goes around the left side, fakes the pitch, and there were a couple of Texas guys waiting right there for him. And now it's going to be up to Simon to put the Longhorns into a hole.
They're going to let the delay of game penalty come into force here. They're going to let the clock run down and take the 5 yards and let Simon punt it. He's working on a Blue Bonnet Bowl record average of 49 yards a kick, and he has the win. The 25-second clock has expired. They'll step off 5 yards for delay of game.
That's just another 5 yards added to that average that he has had. He's had 11 punts. This will be his 11th punt today. That is the most this season. His previous high was 8 against BYU.
Well, the Texas defense has done the job again. Now it's going to be up to the offense with 3 minutes, 2 seconds left. Metcalf is deep for the Longhorns as Simon gets set to punt. Good pressure on Simon. Gets a low line drive kick that bounces. Metcalf picks it up at his 10. Tries to get to the outside. Hemmed in by white shirts and is taken down at the 8-yard line. Excuse me, not at the 8, but at the 13. Mark Mafafo made the stop for the Air Force after a 41-yard kick.
Tom, there is a penalty flag down. It looks like a clipping penalty on the Texas Longhorns. But did you notice how the Air Force special teams, everybody did their assignment. Everybody stayed in their lane, so Metcalf was trying to make something happen going right and left, trying to create some kind of an angle. He could not do that because everybody was disciplined enough to stay in their lane.
Step off the penalty of half the distance for clipping and move it back to the Texas 6-yard line, just shy of the 7, actually. And the Longhorns are a long ways away from a go-ahead touchdown. First down for Texas.
And one of the things I think that Texas has to do right now, Tom, is they can't afford just to put that ball on the ground. They have got to throw those play-action passes to move that ball a little bit quicker up the field. Here they go at Stafford with a play-action fake.
From his own end zone, he lets it go. It's complete to Metcalf, who gets to the 5. That was almost a safety.
And what a catch by Metcalf. It was a left-handed grab, one-handed left-handed grab from behind his back. Watch it as Stafford goes back in a play-action fake. He's looking to throw it to on a screen situation. It looks like he just lets the ball fly. Metcalf comes up with it, and luckily for Texas, he gets it back to about the 5-yard line.
Still was a 2-yard loss, and it'll be 2nd and 12 for the Air Force. Hennings and Clark really putting the pressure on Stafford, and Metcalf lucky to make the grab. Actually, an incomplete pass would have been better off. Stafford again from his end zone. This one behind the intended receiver, Hayes. Tom Rotello and Scott Thomas defending for the Air Force, but Stafford simply misfired on that one.
He misfired, but you got to understand that Stafford is throwing into a pretty good wind right now. He throws that ball a little bit behind Hayes as Hayes is coming across the field. A lot of times that ball, when you're starting to throw from right to left or throwing it off that angle, will stay right there. When you're throwing into the wind, you have got to allow for that ball, the possibility of that ball to stay right there.
3rd and 12, 2 minutes, 3 seconds to play. Stafford rolls right, lets it go. It's intercepted. This is Wilson. He picks up blockers, tries the other way, cuts upfield, inside the 10, flag down. Ron Wilson with his 7th interception of the season. A 17-yard return after the interception. Flag on the play. It's going to go against the Air Force, but I believe after the interception, meaning that the Falcons will keep the football.
They will keep the football. A great play on the part of DeJuan Wilson as he got that ball on the interception from Stafford. He started to run back and forth, move around just a little bit. Watch Stafford as he rolls out. Now he's trying to throw a corner pattern, and the ball is pretty much on line, but DeJuan Wilson steps right in front of it. Now watch what happens when Wilson gets it. He's looking around for some help, and then you're going to see it coming in the left side of our screen, the clip from one of his teammates. It's on Hayes. Wilson gets it all the way down, but the ball will come out to about the 31-yard line, but a big play on the part of DeJuan Wilson.
For Wilson, this is his 16th career interception, which is an Air Force record.
And Air Force has 28 interceptions coming into this ball game, so they have been able to do that. Watch the clip right there. It's on number 45, Tom Rotello, and the ball's going to come all the way back to the 31-yard line, but Air Force has the ball.
Air Force led the nation in interceptions this year. This time they have it at the 31 of Texas. 1:49 on the clock, and Air Force leading 21-16. Evans inside the 30. Brian Espinoza, Rocky Reed make the stop for Texas. Clock moves down to 1:40. Texas has 2 timeouts left. And they use one of them right there, but not very quickly. They let an extra 5 seconds tick off the clock before they signaled for the timeout. So Texas down to its last timeout. They trail 21-16 with 1:36 to play in the 27th annual Blue Bonnet Bowl Classic from Houston. We'll be back.
Pontiac What do you think about this sunbird, Mom?
It's so red.
Yeah, and it's got
The Air Force linebacker, who at last count was credited with 14 tackles this afternoon, Terry Mackey of the Air Force, is our Budweiser Defensive Player of the Game. For all you do, this Bud's for you.
And you tell me, isn't that guy having a fun time? It's great when you get down to this part of the football game and you've got the football and you're leading 21-16. We've only got a minute 36 left to go in the game, and it looks like Air Force has got this in pretty good shape.
I tell you, if you consider Mark Simon a defensive player, he could be considered too. He's going to set a Bluebonnet Bowl record with a 49-yard per punt average. 2nd and 8 for the Air Force. Trying to work on the clock a little bit now as they give it to Evans straight ahead. He's to the 25-yard line, and the clock stops once again with a final Texas timeout. Reed, Petkovich, and Allert making a stop for Texas. Well, so Texas has taken its final timeout, and now the Air Force will just keep it on the ground and work on the clock.
And I'll tell you what, the only thing that Air Force wants to do right now is just keep that ball on the ground. Texas does not have any more timeouts left, and they just want to run this thing out.
Well, today's winner of our Pontiac Most Exciting Player Award is Pat Evans of the Air Force, the junior running back out of Vicksburg, Mississippi, the leading ground gainer on the afternoon with 127 yards. Is the most exciting player of the Bluebonnet Bowl. Pontiac will donate a $1,000 scholarship in the name of Pat Evans to the General Scholarship Fund of the Air Force Academy. Pontiac, we build excitement.
With Texas not having any more timeouts left, Tom, one of the things that they're going to have to do when they get this ball back, if they do get it back and Air Force does not score, is throw those deep outside patterns and try and step out of bounds, stop the clock. And the most important thing they have to do right now is stop Air Force on this 3rd down situation. You talk about Ruby, the field goal kicker. His range isn't really good. He's very accurate inside. So basically what they want to do is stop this right now, get the ball back.
3rd and 4 for the Air Force. White with a long count. Evans falls forward after being tripped up at about the line of scrimmage and will be short of the 1st down. Ty Allert, Chris Dulabon made the stop. Clock ticking at a minute 15.
And it looks like Ruby will come in to try and put Air Force a little bit more than a touchdown ahead. This is a big field goal as far as they're concerned. Like we talked about at the top, we got a Texas player hurt coming off.
Brian Espinoza is the injured Longhorn. Steve Llewellyn comes in to replace him.
But it looks like Ruby will be kicking this ball from the 30-yard line, which means it'll be a 40-yard field goal. He has the wind at his back from the 40 for the 40-yard range. He is 1 of 8 this year.
He's hit 10 of 18 overall. His longest has been 49 yards. Mark Simon is the holder. Tom Ruby will try it from 40 yards out. Doesn't even look like they're going to try it from here. They're going to move it 5 yards back on delay of game and let the clock tick down inside a minute, as it has already. That's going to be delay of game right there. The 25-second clock expires. Fisher DeBerry's team has taken a timeout with 47 seconds left in the football game. Did they call timeout before the clock expired? So They will not be penalized. They will get a chance to kick it from 40 yards. They just tried to milk the clock for all they could.
And that's exactly what they did. They let that clock run down to 1 second. Of course, the main clock was also running down, and then they quickly called the timeout, tried to take off every possible second that they possibly could.
Here's some other credits from the folks that have made this telecast from the Bluebonnet Bowl possible this afternoon. Our thanks to everyone for a fine job. The pictures and sounds coming your way from Houston have been first-rate this afternoon. This also gives kicker Tom Ruby a little chance to think about it. I don't know if that's to the Air Force's advantage or not.
Here's an interesting statistic, too. Really interesting. It's kind of ironic, in fact. Air Force needs one more victory to bring its all-time season record to the 500 mark. Air Force 1 loss total from 1956 to date currently stands at 154, 155, and 12. That is interesting.
Ruby tries to nail it down here with a 40-yard field goal. It's up. Good.
I would say the percentages are pretty good that it's going to be 145 now.
Tom Ruby hits from 40 yards out, so with 43 seconds left, the Air Force lead goes to 24-16. That is an 8-point lead for the Falcons, so Texas would have to score a touchdown and be successful in a 2-point conversion to have a chance to tie the game. Let's take a look at Tom Ruby, his reaction to this field goal.
Well, I'll tell you what, as soon as he hit it, he knew exactly what was going to happen to it. It was going through the goalpost, and he was a happy person right there. Ruby hitting a very critical field goal in the latter part of this game. And, of course, Fisher DeBerry, what do you think his reaction will be when that thing goes through? That's what I'm talking about.
Fisher DeBerry, the 1985 WAC Coach of the Year, just about to rack up a Bluebonnet Bowl victory in 43 seconds. Let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the Lorimar Sports Network.
This is KTVV.
At the Bluebonnet Bowl with only 43 seconds left, and Texas facing a do-or-die situation. Under Coach Fred Akers, the Longhorns only 2-6 in postseason play and about to go 2-7 unless they can pull out a fantastic comeback here. And the pressure likely to continue on Coach Fred Akers.
And that's what we talked about at the top of the show. He's got a winning percentage of over 76%, but yet there are some people in the Texas circles, football circles, that feel like that Akers should be replaced.
Here's Metcalf. He's to the 20 and tackled shy of the 30-yard line. 36 seconds showing on the clock. 19-yard return by Metcalf. Steve Sigler made the stop.
Well, look for Brett Stafford to put that ball in the air right now. That's exactly what he's got to do. He's got to score some points, and I mean he's got to score some points very quickly.
Brett Akers on the Texas sideline. You had a brief look at Fisher DeBerry as well. There's Akers, many of the Texas alums, very vocal. If you don't win the Southwest Conference Championship, if you don't go to the Cotton Bowl, it's not a successful season. And with another bowl loss, the pressure on Akers is likely to continue. Stafford, he's going to run with it. And he'll be stopped at the 35, a 5-yard gain, but no timeouts left for Texas.
And one of the things that Stafford has to do, if he decides he wants to run that ball, Tom, he's got to get out of bounds. He's got to be headed towards the sidelines and stop that clock. We've only got 15 seconds left to go in the game. Really, Texas has no chance, but you got to head for the sidelines and get out of bounds.
Stafford throws it complete and out of bounds. It'll be marked shy of midfield with only 7 seconds left. Twelve-yard gain. And 7 seconds left with Texas at their own 46-yard line. This has got to be it.
This will be the last play. For all intents and purposes, Texas looks like that they are going to lose another bowl game. That's got to be tough.
Texas had more first downs, in fact, controlled the play in the second half, but the bend but not break Air Force defense managed to keep them out of the end zone. There's an incomplete pass. We will have one more play with 4 seconds left. The Texas receiver never even looked back. Tom Rotello made a diving attempt at an interception, but the ball fell short. And though Texas controlled play here in the second half, they couldn't score a touchdown. They had to settle for the field goal each time they drove down the field, and they're going to lose the game.
And I think that is a big key. They had opportunities to score touchdowns, and they had to come away with field goals. They moved the ball, they were throwing play-action passes and getting down close to scoring touchdowns, but they just couldn't come up with the score.
Here's Stafford. That looks like it was perhaps intercepted on the last play of the game. In any event, it will be the last play, and will put the win in the board for the Air Force Academy. So the Bluebonnet Bowl has come to an end in Houston.